like to call to order the regularly scheduled Village Council meeting for the Village of Beverly Hills for Tuesday, October 7th, 2025. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Cascometti?
Here.
Mr. Mercer?
Present.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Here.
Mr. Aboud?
Partially here.
Mr. Drummond?
Here.
Mr. George?
Here.
Mr. Dusko?
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, with that, would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. With that, do we have any amendments to the agenda or a motion to approve the agenda?
Mr. George, at this time, I'd like to move that we approve the agenda as published. Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, are there any community announcements this evening? Online, in chamber. Hearing none, we'll move on to public comments. I will say that on the business agenda, we will take comments on the animal ordinance as we go through the animal ordinance. So if anyone would like to save those for that time, you're certainly welcome. The hope is we put Detroit Country Day first so we can get them out of here. So go right ahead.
Hi, sorry, I'm just going to make my public comment early because I have
Sure.
kids I have to put to bed about the animal ordinance. I am in support.
We need your name and your
sorry.
street.
I'm Maria Langhorst, Langhorst. Am I what?
Your street. Just your street.
Evans Court.
Okay. Go right ahead.
All right, I'm just making my public comment known that I support having chickens in the village. I live next to somebody who does, and I've never had any rodents or any problems at all. I've also lived in another city that did allow chickens, and if anything, it was beneficial because I could give them my compost and I wouldn't have to get rid of it. So it was very helpful in that regard. And they also, in return, gave me a lot of their compost manure so that I could grow things. So I am very much in favor, and I see no problems with it, especially allowing most people. I also like the idea of showing my children, where things come from. I have 3 daughters, and they love animals and like to know where our food comes from, so it's very fun. Anyway, that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I wanted to make a comment on, before you approve the council minutes. At our last meeting, we were talking about,
Oh, yeah. Ma'am, if you could give us your name and your street,
oh, sorry,
please.
Linda Remington, Lincolnshire East. So in the minutes, it says that in the third paragraph that I'm going to butcher your name, Rachel Hydrusko, addressed council's role in policy making and requested renewed discussion on deer management following actions in nearby cities. I believe that refers to a comment made earlier in the evening that I don't see in the minutes, made by, sorry, the woman up here. You. Yes. You had called for everyone to, if they would say, if they were pro or con putting this on the ballot. I see no reference to this being on the ballot, and I wanted to point that out before minutes get approved.
Thank you.
Good evening, Suzanne Grimm, Vernon Drive. I just wanted to address, putting deer management on the ballot. I think it's important that all sides be heard related to this, and I'd like it called deer management. There are many financial, safety, and liability issues at hand, and I think we need to make our decision based on our community, not a presentation given somewhere else. So again, community conversation. I'm not going to argue the issue today, but I don't think it should be a unilateral decision that we just sign up for something. Thank you.
Other comments? If not, we'll move on to the consent agenda. In reviewing the minutes, it does list Tammy Wilms is opposed to chickens, citing rodent enforcement and cost concerns. Wilms is in favor of the issue going to ballot and urged council to respond publicly. So I do see that memorialized in the minutes. You don't? Okay.
Everyone is asked to state if they're pro. Everyone was asked to state at the last meeting if they were pro or con, and we heard from 3 people who said they were for putting this on the ballot. I think it was Mr. Drummond. Mr. Mercer said he would support putting Article 3, which specifically applies to chickens, on the ballot. And Ms. Kezimeski didn't respond, and Rachel said she was in favor of saying that she felt this council had the right to make that kind of policy-making decision.
Okay.
Just to clarify.
Thank you. All right. With regard to the consent agenda, if anyone would like to make a motion regarding approval of the consent agenda with the request to note those things in the minutes. But first, I will read the consent. If we no more comments, we'll have 2 more opportunities at least for public comments.
Just one quick second. I'm hearing from someone that there's not sound on Zoom.
We do still have some chairs in the middle of the room.
There's some seats in the middle. There's still plenty of seats up here if anybody wants one. Plenty of space. I think we've got 5 open seats.
All right. For the consent agenda this evening, there are 5 items on the consent agenda. Number 1, approve minutes of a regular council meeting held September 16th, 2025, stipulating that we make the corrections, ask the clerk to verify the recording of the meeting to confirm that memory. Can we do that? Sure. Okay. Number 2, review and file bills recapped as of Monday, October 6, 2025. Number 3, approve delegates for MERS annual conference. Number 4, approve next annual renewal agreement. And number 5, approve mutual aid agreement with Sakpwa.
Mr. George, be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Beverly Hills approve the consent agenda as read.
Support.
With the modification, or?
Oh, with the, well, that was as read.
Okay,
Yeah.
as read. Thank you. So we have support. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Abud?
Yes.
Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Radusco?
Yes.
Ms. Cascometti?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. On to the business agenda. Number 1 on the business agenda, consider special land use request for Detroit Country Day. Mr. Rothy.
Yes, before you this evening, once again, is Detroit Country Day and an application for a special land use request. This is for a playground structure on their property for the middle school. Pursuant to our zoning ordinance, a playground structure is considered an accessory use, and any accessory use at a private school in this R1 zoning district must go and have 2 things done. 1, site plan review, which was approved by the Planning Commission, and again, that's the technical review, making sure the technical standards are met. That was achieved. The second part is what we're considering again this evening, which is the special land use itself. We have a series of standards that our ordinance says apply for special land use applications. Again, this is a more of a, instead of a, objective, it's more subjective of, is this use appropriate for this property? That's ultimately what the council is considering when considering the special land use request. At the time it was tabled, there wasn't finished engineering plans as far as the stormwater situation went in the last few months. The applicant has tweaked the design. They have obtained compliance with the stormwater engineering standards. We have the review letter from Hubble, Roth, and Clark included in the packet. That's all I have. I'll turn it over to Zoning Administrator Steck for further comment.
I think Manager Rothy stole all of my thunder on that one. The Planning Commission, as part of that whole process, the Planning Commission did hold their public hearing on June 25th. And they unanimously approved that site plan, and they as well unanimously approved this recommendation of approval. So you may recall when this came to you initially on July 1st, there had been some concerns about making sure that those engineering plans were completed, and that we could say with the utmost confidence that yes, this is happening. And so again, HRC has reviewed those engineering plans. They will be doing their stormwater management system underneath the playground, actually. And so this will be a standalone project, separate from any future projects that they may have. And we've been working with Scott Stanley here at Detroit Country Day to make sure that their intentions for the playground also meet all these standards and expectations that the village may have. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that may be had.
So all missing parts were from last time completed to your satisfaction?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Mr. Abud.
Thank you. And I heard unanimous approval from planning and HRC engineering already looked at all this and everything is good to go?
Yep, absolutely.
All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. O'Gorman.
Yeah, as liaison to the Planning Commission, I'd like to thank Ms. Steck for this, but yeah, there's good discussion. I think they sent it back to Country Day. There's some drawing updates, engineering evaluation. There's also a worry about drainage, and that was confirmed. So I think Country Day's done a due diligent job on making sure the various aspects of lighting, light exposure to neighboring homes, and many other things were covered. So I think it was a good discussion and support the Planning Commission's proposal.
Other questions or comments? If there are public comments, is council okay with us taking?
Yeah, 100%.
Hi, good evening. Marla Periel, Amherst. So I had a question just because I've been out of the mix for the past 3 years with a child with a serious health condition. Is this in regards to the playground at DCDS on the middle school section that was shut down because of so it's a separate?
It's in a different spot.
Oh, okay. Just want to, for the record, just completely pro and for it. I know personally my daughter and all her friends were definitely devastated when they couldn't go on the playground because of other things. So I didn't know if it was related over that, but in full support of it. Get our kids active.
Thank you. Other questions from council?
I have a question for the applicant. Is there any other work taking place on the campus associated with this project that would be outside of the limits of construction as shown on the drawings here? No. Are you guys sticking strictly within the, it's like the silt fence line to the ring road that goes around? You're just going in that one little corner in that one spot, nowhere else on campus under this permit?
No.
Okay, thank you.
One question, Mr. President.
Yes.
Sir, time frame, and I know indirectly it kind of affects traffic on Maple Road, but when do you foresee the time frame, start to end?
Right now, we're not sure. We've got a 12-week, we're waiting for approval before we purchased anything. We've got a 12-week wait just on the equipment alone for the playground. And prior to that, then we have to do the stormwater work and the site prep. So right now, we're probably not going to get it in until after January.
Okay, that's all, thank you.
We'll get it in as quickly as we can, but
I was just
Yeah.
curious.
Any other questions? I appreciate you working with the village to get this done. I know that we had discussions years ago about where the appropriate spot for that was, and so I'm glad we're getting this, the drainage issues, and this is going close to the river, so the drainage was a conversation worth having, so I appreciate you working with planning and zoning to get that done to their satisfaction and to our village engineer's satisfaction. Any other questions? Yes.
I just did have a question. When I look through the plans that are here, there's the general plan showing the location of the new playground. There's a existing conditions, existing grade plan. There's the demolition plan. And then there's your site engineering plan, which basically shows your stormwater, silt fence, that type of stuff. I see a bunch of typical details associated that we normally would see on stormwater items, but I don't actually see a plan showing what the new play structure, playground, play area will look like.
I think that's on us.
That was in the original submittal. I did not put it in this packet, though I linked it within the memo. That is a very extensive set of renderings that was included in the July 1st packet.
So you're looking just for, consensual rendering? I mean,
I was just looking to see what they were building there, because we now have site plans and
Right.
a different submission from what was before, right? There were some changes made for the site plans, but now I don't have the new construction plans to look at with the change in the site plans that were done.
the
Right.
equipment is going on the same footprint that was originally shown and shown in here.
There it is. I found the link. So yeah, it was not put in this packet because it was put in the previous packet and linked in this packet, so I guess.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then do we know the extent of what was, there was some discussion on the read-in about some changes back and forth with HRC. Do we know what that was, Ms.?
Part of the original proposal, and I think part of the hang-up when we appeared in July, was that there are additional changes that Detroit Country Day is considering for elsewhere on the campus. And part of the thought process was that perhaps we could wrap in the stormwater for this particular project with those future projects. We've not yet had a meeting to discuss those future projects, so there was some uncertainty. So really, it was separating these projects out, the current one that we're considering this evening and the future projects, and just making sure that this is a standalone project. There was no engineering plans provided at the July meeting.
So what was submitted originally and reviewed by HRC was larger in scale than this? And
No. So the typical process, you may recall from planning, is that they receive site plan review, and then the recommendation for special land use here. Generally, we deal with all engineering reviews and all building plan reviews after special land use approval, and that's done administratively. So when they came for special land use approval, they had not begun the engineering process. They hadn't submitted plans. We only had the concept of combining this project with future projects. But again, that was split out. That decision was made to split that out.
okay. Thank you for that
Yep.
clarification.
Sure.
Well, Other questions or comments? None? Ma'am, you got to go to the podium if you're going to ask a question. Thank you.
Marla again. So question, is the current playground then not in use at DCDS on the middle school campus?
That's not what.
You mean the former playground?
Correct, the one that's west behind
No,
the
that's
building.
gone.
So the children currently don't have a playground?
Correct.
I think that, we should really do what we can as a village to help support, push this project through and expedite it as quickly as possible, obviously in a safe manner, just because I can speak, from experience, our children being able to have the ability to enjoy time on a playground outside, to break up their academics and whatnot is just great for them both mentally, emotionally, as well as physically. So I'm a little shocked that it's 3 years, and so I hope the village is in full support of it.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from council? If not, Mr. O'Gorman, do you have a resolution?
Yes, I do, Mr. George. Mr. Ryan, are all the whereases necessary?
No, sir.
Okay, I didn't think so. All right, so be it resolved, the foregoing recitals listed within the packet are hereby incorporated in this section 1 as the finding of the Beverly Hills Village as it is fully set forth herein. Section 2, special use permit. Subject to and contingent upon the terms and conditions set forth in Section 3 of this resolution, the application of a special land use permit to allow construction of an accessory structure at 22400 Hillview Lane in accordance with Section 46-188 of the zoning ordinance, and the approved site plan is hereby approved. Section 3 conditions. The special land use permit granted by Section 2 of this resolution is subject to and contingent upon compliance by owner of the following conditions: compliance with regulations, the development, use, and maintenance of the property must comply at all times with all applicable village codes and ordinances as they have been or may be amended over time, including without limitation the zoning ordinance. B, compliance with plans, the development, use, and maintenance of the accessory structure of the property must be in strict accordance with the plan submitted by owner, dated September 23rd, 2025, and consist of 6 sheets, a copy of which is attached to and by reference made a part of this resolution as Exhibit A, except for minor changes and site work approved by the building official within his respective permitting authority in accordance with the applicable village codes, ordinances, and standards. Section 4, amendment of special use permit. Any amendments to the special land use permit that may be requested by owner may be granted only pursuant to the procedures and subject to the standards and limitations provided in the zoning ordinance.
Support.
Support for Mr. Aboud. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Aboud?
Yes.
Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Rojicko?
Yes.
Ms. Tescamedi?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thank you. Thank you, sir. All right, on to number 2 on the business agenda, second reading of the animal ordinance. Mr. Rothy.
Yes, this evening, the council may have a second reading of the proposed animal ordinance. Just like the first reading, we have 2 versions for the sake of talking about this evening. Whatever is passed will just become known as ordinance number 392. But for the time being, we have version A, which includes revisions to Article 1 in general, Article 2, cats and dogs, and it would include a proposed Article 3 containing regulations on the keeping of backyard chickens. Then we have ordinance number 392, version B. Articles 1 and 2 are the same, except for the reference to Article 3 in Section 8.3, I believe. And then there is no Article 3, so that ordinance version B essentially prohibits the keeping of backyard chickens. There's been a few changes since the first reading. I have a red line version. The red line version was 392A. Any of those modifications to Articles 1 and 2 carried over into 392B as well. The moratorium that the council has passed is set to expire this Saturday, October 11th. At a minimum, we don't have an ordinance right now that says what animals we can and can't have in the village. If passed, Articles 1 and 2 would give us one. And then there's the question of Article 3, keeping of backyard chickens. I would ask that at a minimum, the council consider adopting the changes to Article 1 and 2 this evening. The ordinance would become effective when it's published, which would be, if we pass something this evening, published and effective on October 11th, the date of moratorium is set to expire. Happy to take questions during the discussion.
All right. Questions, comments, discussion from council before we go to community comments?
I had one quick question here on procedurally. Are we going to vote on accepting Articles 1 and 2 outright and then do a second vote on whether 3 gets added in? Or are we just going to go down a different path?
I assume someone will make a motion to approve a version of it.
Okay.
And,
Fair.
we're adopting an ordinance, so I would assume someone will have their preferred version and will recommend it for adoption. Mr. Wood.
Thank you. So if Article 1 and 2 with the red lines is being approved, does that give us enough time to make sure our ordinance is within that October date that you mentioned? And the notice given?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have.
Mr. George,
Yes.
I'd like to propose an amendment. Would you like to do that now, or would you like to take public comment first?
We should take public comment.
I'm fine. Take public comment. All right. All right.
I think that you're going to go through public comments twice then.
I'm sorry?
Well, I mean, if you make an amendment to it that people want to comment on, you're going to take those comments again then?
That's true.
Okay,
All right.
I mean, I don't,
That's a good point.
That's a good thought.
that's fair. That's why I was asking.
I mean, so here's procedurally what happens if you make an amendment and somebody supports that, which is fine, you have to consider that and you have to discuss that and then vote on that to whether to accept that. You could also make the amendment, not second it, know what it is, and have discussion on it, knowing that it's out there. But those are just some general rules of order.
Okay. And that said,
Guidelines.
oh, I'm sorry.
I was just saying.
They're just the rules. They're not really guidelines. That's just how it happens.
Right. Mr. George, then at this time, I would like to propose, I'd like to move to make an amendment and amend Section 860, keeping of chickens. This appears on page 54 of 89 of the packet. I'd propose striking subparagraph B, minimum lot size, and renumbering the paragraph accordingly.
What section was that again?
It's Section
860.
860 in Article 3. Keeping of chickens, subparagraph B, minimum lot size.
860. Yeah, okay.
So I'll leave it to you, Mr. George, if we're taking discussion on that, or maybe not, if nobody is in support of said amendment, that's also fine.
I'm fine. If people want to make any suggested amendments now, then we can take comments.
I'm not sure if she made an motion, does it need support?
Sure.
Then, yeah, I would support that.
Okay, so the motion that's on the table that's been supported is to strike section, or letter B of 860?
Correct.
Correct.
So, we had this discussion at the subcommittee, and this was one of the things that we talked about on what to decide on a lot size. We came up with this, put it in, but the trade-off is we put that in without any limitations on the number of permits. And Susie, correct me if I'm wrong, but most municipalities either had some set size limit, right, lot size limit, or they had a number of permits. I believe closest to us is probably Berkeley does that. They don't have a set lot size limit, but they have, I think, a permit limit of 10.
I think theirs was 10, Oak Park's was 5, right? So-
Yeah,
But yes, your
yeah,
recollection is correct.
So the trade-off is when you get into the smaller lot sizes, and if you strike that and you have no lot size limit, then a lot of these communities said, hey, we want to see how this works and not, open it up, because it's not as big a problem when you have a larger lot size, obviously. You don't have that maybe density of permits. So I would say if we're going to do away with lot size, we should start out with also limiting the permits then.
Okay. What would your, I mean, are you offering?
I can't really make, the problem is, unless there be a friendly amendment to this, amendment, basically, to limit it to 10, permits, I have to make that after this one, if they wouldn't take that as to add that on to their amendment.
I'm open to any discussion. I don't understand where the half acre came from. I've never seen anything that indicates what percentage of our lots are half acre or larger. So it's a nice, smooth number, but I don't know where it came from or what percentage of the community that excludes.
It came, just from a subcommittee standpoint, we just discussed the number, and we said, hey, we settled on half acre.
Right.
Mr. George, if I could, I make the amendment for this reason. The rest of the ordinance includes setback. Ms. Steck, maybe I'll ask you, make sure I'm correct on my understanding of this. The rest of the language here includes requirements for containment. It requires setback for accessory structures. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do we have a minimum lot size for dogs?
No.
150-pound dogs, 2 of them on a quarter-acre lot, no restriction?
No.
Okay. Do we have a requirement that they're fenced or not fenced, right? I mean, there's not a requirement for, they have to be controlled in their yard,
They have to
right?
be controlled. There is no requirement that people have fences to contain their dog.
Right. And with the minimum lot size requirement, that applies to the whole lot, not just the backyard, right? So if you had an irregularly shaped yard, you could still have a half-acre lot with most of that in the front yard, right? So my point here is that I think that we achieve the intent of, controlling the animals, keeping them contained in the owner's yard, and keeping the structure away from neighbors with other sections here, and that, frankly, the half-acre lot thing is there intentionally to be exclusive. So.
Respectfully, I disagree with that being exclusive. A lot of these ordinances we looked at had either a lot size type restriction, which I believe maybe Franklin has one. I can't remember them offhand. I didn't commit that all to memory. It's been a while. Or they had a permit number, okay? So we didn't go down the permit number. We went down a route of, well, this would kind of limit it because we're not in a zoning ordinance, so we can't do it by zone.
Right.
So we just went to a number. We had to make it acceptable so that it could be in the general ordinance without having anything zoned.
Understood.
So I don't know if you're getting to the point where you want to put lot restrictions on dogs. If that's what you're saying, then maybe that would be the better thing to do is, okay, we're going to put a lot restriction on chickens. We can go down the path of doing lot restrictions on dogs. I don't see necessarily where the two meet in that a lot of other ordinances that we looked at for chickens had these type of restrictions. And we fashioned them after what we thought was the best of the best.
Understood.
So, do you want me, how do you want to handle, are you waiting to see if people are in favor of no lot size restriction before talking about a number of permits, or do you
Well,
want to make it?
I would, if we're going to go and vote on a lot size restriction or no lot size restriction, we should limit the number of permits to 10 like Berkeley does.
And to your point, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to speak out of turn, Mr. George. To your point, Mr. Mercer, I think that would be a reasonable exchange.
Okay.
If I may.
Yes.
There are some communities that have lot size restrictions. There are some communities that also choose to limit the number of permits. It is not that it's required to be one or the other. The vast majority do not do one or the other. There are instances of both in ordinances surrounding chickens, but it is not that one is exclusive of the other, or that you must have one or the other. There are just as many communities, I'm sorry, I am completely losing my voice. There are just as many communities that do neither, and have no issues, and historically have had no issues. Because up until this point, we have not seen any issues of problems with neighbors. We have people in this room that have neighbors with chickens and have said they don't have issue. So I don't think that we need to do one or the other. I think that we need to consider that if that is the path that we are going down, we are putting more regulation on one animal and essentially a greater consequence on people wanting to keep one type of animal than any other person in this village. And I think that we need to ask ourselves why they deserve that extra amount of regulation. So just something to consider.
All right, thank you. Other comments from council before we go to public comments? All right, public comments on the matter. So please step to the podium. Give us your name and your street, please.
Good evening, members of council, and Mr. Ryan, Mr. Ross, and Ms. Brown. My name is Ron Bajorek. I live on Metamora, and I've been a resident of Beverly Hills for 33 continuous years. My wife, Lisa, is also part of my household. She couldn't be here tonight, but I know that we are in consensus on what I'm about to address the council about. Now, just getting back to starting off with the issue of the lot size, this proposed amendment dramatically changes the chicken proposal. It opens up basically the whole village. There is no more restrictions, so obviously I'm very much vehemently opposed to that. I would like to begin by saying something very simple and common sense. This community, this municipality is 70 years old. I've been here for the past 33 years. Up through recently, I've never heard of anybody not following the farm animal restriction ordinance. So as far as I know, and I could be wrong, we have 10,000 people who live in Beverly Hills. Up to this point, I don't know anybody who had chickens in their backyard because the ordinance says no farm animals. Up to this point, everyone lived under that rule. There were no exceptions. I read the court file this morning, and from what I've learned, 8 years ago, certain members of the community decided they wanted to change the ordinance so that they could have farm animals, specifically chickens. They went before the Zoning Board of Appeals, and they asked for a variance based upon the Michigan Farm Use Act, stating that these are animals that should be allowed and that they were going to be used for protein for their family and a sustainable lifestyle. Well, that was unanimously rejected by the zoning board. Subsequent to that, 4 years ago, they came back, and then, all of a sudden, these chickens were no longer going to be eaten or used as farm animals. All of a sudden, they're now pets. So I think there's some disingenuous motives going on here. So for 70 years, I see this as a situation where people in this community have accepted the status quo, no farm animals, and traditionally, everyone understands that a chicken is a farm animal. No exception to that rule. So we have a status quo in this community that we've lived with for 70 years. All the people that have born, raised, and died here understood that chickens are not part of this community. Now, there's been talk earlier today that other communities have allowed chickens into their ordinances. Well, that's well and good. But the research that I found, that these communities number between 20 and 25. Well, if you look at statistics, we have over 530 municipal communities in the state of Michigan. So we're talking about 20 to 25 communities out of 530. My math shows me that that's 96% of municipalities in Michigan that don't allow chickens. One of the communities is Southfield. Southfield is a wonderful community, but we're not Southfield. We have a separate identity. We have separate businesses. We don't have a lot of apartments or transient people. We don't have marijuana dispensaries. We don't have a lot of liquor stores. We are a unique community that separated from Southfield 70 years ago and established their own identity. And frankly, communities like Southfield, who may need to have people brought.
You're going to have to wrap up.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
You can have some of my time.
Thank you.
Thank you. I control the clock, so I appreciate that. We're trying to make sure the entire room,
But we need to realize that the communities that do not allow chickens, Birmingham, Bloomfield Township, Bloomfield Hills, Farmington Hills, Novi, I'd rather join up with that group of communities rather than to change our identity so that we're part of the Southfield community. That's where I'm at. Further, I read Judge Rao's opinion.
Sir, we're trying to, we instituted a clock a couple meetings ago. We're trying to make sure the entire room and everybody online has an opportunity to speak. So if you could wrap it up, I'd appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
I do have some issues with the language of both alternative ordinance amendments. I don't know if I have time to bring that up.
No.
Okay.
I appreciate it, but if we do this all night, we'll be here all night. And the goal is to make sure everybody, the entire room, has an opportunity to be heard.
I request that the honorable members of this council reject any proposal or amendment that would allow chickens in our beautiful community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Megan Lyle, Pickwick. I personally resent a council member's implication at the last meeting that homeowners are too ignorant or lazy to do their own research. I refreshed my knowledge from medical school by what diseases were carried by fowl in making my decision against chickens in the village. I also talked to 2 cousins in more rural areas that have chickens, and they need to wear masks to clear the used litter, bedding, and don't want the noise or smell too close to their homes. With no lot size restriction, I'm very concerned about property values.
Thank you.
Allison Schultz, Dunblane Avenue. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I know how much time and energy has gone into drafting these 2 ordinances, and I want to thank everyone that's been involved. I'm here tonight to, sounds like it's something that we've already started talking about, but I was going to talk about removing or reducing the lot size requirement to 0.25 acres. Some of you know I've talked about this before. I really think if we're going to do this, this ordinance needs to be truly accessible for Beverly Hills families. I want to be clear. 4 hens in a fenced yard with setback requirements, it's not a chicken farm. It's a small manageable setup that, when maintained properly, doesn't pose issues with smell, pests, or noise. These are concerns that come down to maintenance, not lot size. I've heard people say they're fine with chickens when done right, but that's true for dogs, it's true for grills or pools too. Any of these cause problems if neglected. We don't write ordinances based on fear that someone might do it wrong. We set clear standards and trust our residents to meet them. We already have those setbacks and these standards. The setbacks in the draft ordinances ensure proper placement and spacing. That's all we need. A lot size rule does not guarantee more room or cleaner conditions. A house on a large lot might take up most of its property, while a smaller home on a smaller lot could have a lot more open yard space, making it just as, if not more, appropriate. And this request isn't coming from outsiders. It's from long-standing community members. I grew up here and I'm raising my family here. I actually grew up in Metamora Green, so I'm familiar with what it's like over there as well. We represent the next generation of Beverly Hills, families who cared very deeply about this village's future. Beverly Hills is made up of diverse homes, diverse families, and diverse generations. Our ordinances should reflect that reality and not exclude most of the community. Under the current lot size rule, only a small fraction of households would even qualify, shutting out responsible residents who would otherwise meet every requirement. Our neighbors, Royal Oak, Ferndale, Berkeley, and Franklin, all allow hens without minimum lot sizes, and it does work. Please make this ordinance meaningful by removing the lot size restriction or reducing it to 0.25 acres. And again, thank you for your time. I know this has been a lot of work.
Thank you.
Mike White, Vernon Drive. I'm here to support allowing chickens in Beverly Hills. I believe the proposed ordinance will regulate them well. The ordinance does not force anyone to own chickens. The history of communities around us shows that a minimal number of people will begin raising chickens. Homeowner association rules will eliminate chickens in many areas. Chickens will be similar to the disc golf course. A minority will participate in them, but it will add to the diversity of the community. I do recommend 2 changes to the ordinance. I would change the minimum lot size to 1/4 acre because the 1/2 acre eliminates many of the village properties. And I would add a 15-minute time limit for a barking dog to be deemed a nuisance. This will give the dog owner, neighbors listening to the barking dog, and the responding police officer a standard to begin a discussion. I also know a couple families with 3 dogs, and we appreciate the families appreciate the 3-dog limit. I only have 2. You can count them. The one family did say that they wish they could have made this change 15 years ago when they bought the 3rd dog. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. George?
Yes.
We do have some people who want to speak on Zoom, and they're sending messages, and we just want to know when we're going to accommodate them.
We can
want to intersperse or make them...
we can knock a couple out right now.
I don't want to leave them hanging.
Sure.
You want to go now, or you want me to wait?
You're standing there, so we'll go ahead and we'll go, and then we'll grab some from
All right,
online.
sounds good. Peggy Brady, Pebblestone Court. I know I have only 4 minutes, so I want to say I agree with the remarks from the gentleman from Metamora. Beverly Hills, I've been a resident here for 37 years this time, 15 years before that, so quite a long time. We are not an agricultural community. I oppose allowing Beverly Hills residents to have live chickens. It should be placed on the ballot. The residents of the village should decide this. I also do not agree with striking the lot size limit. It should stay with what you have it. But it should not be voted by the council at all. I think it should be on the ballot.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna grab a couple off of offline here. Just need name and street.
I'll go ahead and go. Could you hear me?
Yes.
Yep. Hi, I'm Mary Perfect Nelson. I'm over on Woodhaven Lane. I've been here, I'm not sure, it's been about 30 years. My kids have been here up and gone, and I love it here. I have no problem with my neighbors having chickens. I would like to think that I have a close enough relationship with them that if there were any problems for me, that I would be able to talk with them and solve the problem. I think that's an important part of being a community member. We live amongst each other. I also think I think that I'm like Mike White, who is my neighbor, and I think a quarter of an acre is fine. So I'm all for it. I would love more eggs.
Thank you. Who's next?
Zoom.
Tom Maxwell.
Tom Maxwell.
Tom Maxwell.
Hello, my name's Tom Maxwell. I am a 41-year resident. I don't know if anyone on...
Can we get your street, Mr. Maxwell?
Oh, Lauderdale.
Thank you.
I do not know if anyone on council who is considering voting yes to this revised ordinance has ever contacted directly other communities allow backyard chickens for feedback. But here are some very inconvenient facts. No surprise, the smaller lot, the more neighbors are negatively impacted. With your proposed ordinance, residents could be potentially looking at a chicken coop on top of them, 3 dogs in a beehive in adjacent yards. It was actually councilperson Ms. Kosmeski who stated at a council meeting in 2021 for residents living in East Beverly on quarter to 0.4 acre lots, not 30 feet from a neighbor's garage, backyard chickens is probably not going to work, unquote. One hen produces 60 to 130 pounds of waste per year. So with 4 hens, it's up to a quarter ton per year in one backyard. Imagine living on a small lot next to that. The single breeding pair of rats can result in thousands of descendants in 1 year and a major infestation within a few months. Where is the concern about that? Has any unbiased member on council checked with Ferndale, Berkeley, Royal Oak, or Plymouth, which was recently in the news about this issue? What about coyotes? What about bird flu? What about the challenges of oversight by our overworked village administration and staff? What about impact on neighbors' pets? I'm talking about dogs. When a dog barks, birds fly away, squirrels run away. Now you will have a flock of birds enclosed in a confined area 24 hours a day. Any continual barking now would be the burden of the dog owner and not the chicken owner. Residents want to vote on this. When was the last time Beverly Hills has seen this level of opposition to an issue over such a long period of time? Before each council member votes tonight, please tell the taxpayers and voters, where is your evidence that the majority of residents are in favor of chickens? Also, being on the council is not licensed to push through a personal agenda of one person, which is what we've been subject to for the last 8 years at cost of time and taxpayers' money. I'm asking the council to slow down, do your homework regarding all potential problems, do the right thing, vote no, and put this in the hands of our voters. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next?
I guess it's me, Todd Schaefer, Sunset Drive. Sorry for filling up your inboxes with correspondence separately, one with a bunch of edits for the draft articles. Second, which I'll stick to for purposes of this, was a more editorial one. I've already on the record stated I don't believe chickens are appropriate for Beverly Hills for numerous reasons. What I'd like to do instead with my 3.5 remaining minutes is focus on process here and what we're gonna and what's gonna happen tonight. There is a ticking time bomb with regard to the moratorium hanging over the council's head. Or in the council room, and that is what we really should be focusing on here. There's plenty of work to be done in Articles 1 and 2. While I don't believe chickens are appropriate, Article 3 has no such time constraints. Neither does the potential addition of the keeping of bees, which was inserted into Article 1. and wasn't really a big focus of the subcommittee meeting, all of which meetings I attended. What should happen is that should be pulled out and reserved for future discussion along with the chickens. And in the event there's an ordinance language that can be reached for Article 3, that could be set aside, and this should be put in front of the village members for a vote as to whether or not they really want chickens. Specifically with regard to the moratorium and the changes in the language that we've seen over the draft ordinance from its generation from the subcommittee, new things are coming up all the time, especially in Article 3, in addition to the beekeeping insert in Article 1. Between the subcommittee meetings and the most recent first reading, we now have standards proposed for limitation or for the keeping of manure on site in an amount that my research indicates is well beyond what is necessary for, a person's residence. But that hasn't been vetted. Nobody's talked about it. The standards from GAMPs were removed, which I do agree for the most part makes sense. But the keeping of chickens in cages standard from that is probably something that we should look at including. This does not need to be rushed. It has not been thoroughly vetted. Another issue, it is clear that in the event this vote is close, it would also behoove the council to stick to Articles 1 and 2, pass it clean, and then move on to Article 3, because I think you have a significant potential chance that there will be litigation over Article 3 if it is passed because a council member has not recused themselves when they should. Finally, the purported savings clause as drafted is problematic. On its face, it is inconsistent and clearly needs work, which would be another reason to avoid that, because I don't believe there is any issue between changes being made to Articles 1 and 2, as well from what the original ordinance was that was struck down. As Mr. Rothy has noted, Article 2 is going to come back to you for significant revision once Southfield Township has done some work on what they want to do from a licensing perspective. So you're not done with Articles 1 and 2, even if you pass it tonight. You can come back and deal with changes to dog licensing, changes, potentially add beekeeping. But at the end of the day, the only thing that needs to be rushed through is Articles 1 and 2, and that has enough work to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Nancy?
All right, we'll do Nancy, and then we'll come back to some in the room.
Okay, great. Hi, my name is Nancy McIntyre. I'm a longtime resident on Shelton Drive. I have several concerns, and I do agree with the gentleman who spoke last. I agree that this ordinance number 3 should be its own issue and voted upon. I am a little concerned that there's a council member that is not recusing themselves on this. My concerns over keeping chicken are many. First of all, the communities that were named in that allow chickens don't have the same home values that we have here in Beverly Hills. And the council member who made a statement that, we're already thoroughly covered in the ordinance wording to keep it away from the neighbors, and then wanting to reduce the size of the land that these can be on really doesn't math up correctly to me. So a lot more work needs to be done on that. I do believe there should be a lot size restriction. The biggest issue that I have are health concerns. There have been many documents that during 2015 to 2022, there's been over 88 multi-state backyard poultry associated salmonella outbreaks and 7,800 plus outbreak associated illnesses reported with these backyard chickens. I'm concerned that we already have coyotes in our neighborhood. I don't want more. I don't want foxes. I don't want rats. And oh, by the way, snakes. Big issue with chicken coops because they love the eggs. Raccoons, feral cats, the list goes on and on. So personally, a disc golf course is not similar, in my opinion, to having chickens, as the one gentleman stated. A disc golf course isn't going to wake me up in the morning with chickens making noises or the odor and not being able to have my windows open. So I urge the council to vote against this. put it on the ballot as the last gentleman had suggested. And I agree, this has not been vetted and it feels very rushed to me. And I have some great concerns about council members who might be voting on an issue that they should be recusing themselves from. Thank you.
Thank you. Who in chamber would like to go? Take the gentleman in the hat and then or whoever.
John Simpson, 48-year resident, Kirkshire. I have experience in this matter. My son and his family have chickens, and I can tell you the eggs are fabulous. And they do teach responsibility to the kids until it isn't fun anymore, and then the kids don't want to do it. And chickens eat unbelievable amount, and you get so much poop, you can't believe it. I'm not kidding. My son and his family live in Byron Center, Michigan. He's on 11 acres. You cannot see any of the other houses around. If you get chickens, you also get raccoons. Chickens are raccoon magnets. I'm not kidding. And there have been times when the raccoons have gotten into the coop of my sons and they shred the chickens, their guts everywhere. It's horrible. And if any child has got a pet chicken and sees the guts, it's very disturbing. So, not for Beverly Hills. It's not our community that has chickens. They're great, but not for here. Like I said, my son has them. I have experience. I've talked to him for years about it. If you have chickens, you get raccoons, you get rats, you get other stuff. And the smell is, even if you clean up really well, it's bad. That's it. Thank you.
Go right ahead.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for having me. My name is Greg Smith. I live in Royal Oak in the Forest Heights subdivision. And I'd like to share with you what I've been dealing with for the last 5 years in the city of Royal Oak. And this is my first opportunity to speak on this matter on why not to have chickens in the city. I have dealt with rodents beyond belief, burrows everywhere, rats on feeders during the day, a train of rats, smell. By the way, hens make noise. They're not roosters, but they make noise. We had my dog almost kill 2 of them. Why? Because their wings weren't clipped. The wings should be clipped. Why? Because they fly into other people's yards. And speaking of the lot size, I live on a quarter lot size. Well, this particular property owner decided to turn his property into a farm. I've lived there 31 years. I paid taxes in that community like a lot of you have, and now I got a farm next to me. You guys, I want to commend you. You're light years ahead of what's going on across Greenfield. It's absolutely ridiculous what I'm dealing with. And I'm talking with the city, and I'm getting emotional about it. I'm concerned about property value. The lot turned into a Sanford and Son salvage yard. Bed frames brought in. Why are you bringing bed frames in? Oh, that's to protect the chickens from the red-tailed hawks. Spider webs of strings, flags to keep away the red-tailed hawks. It's ridiculous. The city finally clamped down. This person has 2 pages of code violations, rat infestations, on and on and on. They got a mulberry tree. Guess what? It's a fruit bearing. That's just icing on the cake. I got raccoons, I got skunks, I got coyotes, I got rats, I got chipmunks, everything coming through my yard. I got raccoons like this. They're eating great. So my point is, you may consider these as pets. Okay, fine, but they're livestock. They've been livestock for a long time. Cats and dogs aren't livestock, okay? So, in my opinion, how you guys are addressing this is great because we're way behind the 8 ball in Royal Oak, and it's a travesty. And I'm an example of what could go wrong. And we're on small lot size, 50 feet by 218. He's turned 3/4 of his lot into a farm, and I can't do nothing about it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Start. Suzanne Grimm, Vernon Drive. I'm hearing a lot of fear from people, and you're probably right. Chickens can bring rats. You know what else can bring rats? Fruit trees. You know what brings raccoons? The world. We all have raccoons. We all have chipmunks. We all have mice that live around our garages. What I'm hearing is that the village is doing a great job putting in what looks to be standards to make sure that our village keeps our home values up, that if people want to have, not everybody wants this, if people want to have chickens, it's in a controlled environment that makes it so they're healthy, we're healthy. I'm for it. I don't need people controlling me. I mean, I have to be honest. I wish the neighbor next to me didn't paint their house black with little pink, purple, and green blocks all over it. But it's their house. To me, it's a similar type of thing, and I know that change can be hard, but sadly, chickens are fashionable. So Birmingham might be next, but most importantly, we're doing it in a thoughtful way to make sure everybody's concerns are addressed. Right now, it's fear. Nobody has experienced any of the things that you're talking about. I hear the gentleman in Royal Oak it's one horrible person that isn't following the standards, and Royal Oak is taking care of it. And I'm sorry you live next to that person. I am. Regardless, I'm for it. Thank you for the hard work.
Thank you.
Hi, Melissa Holland. I live on Riverside. I have lived in Beverly Hills for 12 years. It is a great street. I love my street. And I love my neighbors. And I respect their rights to do what they want with their property because I don't live in an HOA. I respect other people's freedoms. I want my own. I don't even want chickens, but I want you all to have the right to do what you want to do on your properties. What I actually came up here to say is that over the 12 years that I've lived in Beverly Hills, as different people have run for council, many of you here and many of you not here, any of you who have asked for my vote, I have asked where you stood on several different issues. And you have earned people's votes based on your answers to those questions. And you sit here today because the people in this village voted you here. I am so grateful that you all spend so much of your personal time doing this work and listening to all of our complaints and opinions. It would be a darn shame if any of you were intimidated out of doing your job. Many of you, or some of you, in this position because of this issue and people elected you based on what your answer to that question was. I trust all of you to make a responsible decision that puts in place an ordinance that is both constitutional and respectful and puts in enough framework that went for those people who have neighbors who are irresponsible with dogs, are irresponsible with paint, are irresponsible and violate any of the ordinances of our village, that we have recourse to take matters further if they are not within that ordinance. Thank you for your really, really hard work on getting us to a point where we have an ordinance that is reasonable and that gives some avenues for people to understand what they can and cannot do within that framework. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm David Wensler. I live on Nottingham Drive. Lived here for about 10 years, raising my kids here, so I probably am the next generation, and I'm not in favor of chickens personally. And I didn't vote for the people who admitted that they were in favor of chickens. So the two things I would say is, one, people have already said this. If 4 of you are so confident that our village of 10,000 people wants chickens, let them vote for it, rather than the voice being made by 4 people. Second, I would also like to ask everybody else, and somebody else also mentioned this, I mean, who likes higher taxes? Show of hands. Anybody? We're gonna get higher taxes if they're chickens because people have to look at permits and they might have to, bring out law enforcement, if something like the gentleman from Royal Oak, had happened to him. So it's gonna just raise the amount of money and we're all gonna have to pay for that. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Janet Ramsayer, and I live on Evergreen Road. And I have, people are talking about the value of their homes going down. Well, my home is probably above average price, and I have chickens living near me and next door. In fact, they're in my front yard because my front yard borders a backyard where there are chickens. And I have not seen any rats. I don't have any critter problems. There's no smell. They're quieter than all the dogs that live around me. And I agree with the things that the last 2 ladies said. And either, I think, I'm for it. And if needs be, maybe there should be a vote for the community rather than just listening to the few of us that are coming and giving our opinions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name's Brian Reamer. I live on Devonshire. I'm here in support of the chicken ordinance. Thousands of hours of study have gone into this subject. We all read about it, hear folks on different sides of the subject voicing their concerns. We have a council here. They get elected. Everybody knows where they stand on issues. There's no secrets there. The village has already voted on this subject, I propose, when they elect the council. This is how, a democracy works. You elect your leaders to represent you. It's great that we're all coming in and, taking part in this democracy. The proposed setbacks, that's going to take care of the lot sizes and the number of permits. These guys, they're not, these rules aren't coming in here off the cuff. Thousands of hours have gone into this. And the last thing I'll say, change is difficult. I've been in the village for about 12 years. When proposed ideas come up for change in the village, it's incredible the number of naysayers. Just right off the bat, start blasting the idea of change, the idea of putting in sidewalks. What a beautiful project, successfully completed. The idea of putting in a roundabout that's saving hundreds of lives. The amount of discourse that went on over that roundabout. It's been crickets since the thing went in. It's a fabulous solution to a long-time problem. Change is difficult. And as I get older, I recognize that as I get older, I'm more resistant to change. It's a natural thing that happens when you get older. And, the faces on our board, they look different than they did when I first moved into the village. And I like change. I like voting for people that are responsible. And we have smart people in this village. They don't elect dummies. So I appreciate what the council is doing on this, and I support the proposal. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, I'm Caitlin Bora, East Lady Drive. My household's firmly behind the idea of allowing backyard chickens. I'm not going to waste any more of our precious time going over all of the points that those that came before me so eloquently made. My brain is fried. I have a sick 2-year-old at home, so I'll keep this quick. I believe this deserves our time and attention. I don't think decisions should be made out of what ifs and fear. It sounds like there are guidelines and structure in place to ensure placement, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And I just don't understand this, I guess. I don't agree with all the decisions my neighbors make. They might have things in their yard that I don't agree with or I think are unsafe. I would never put a pool in my yard, but they do, and they follow the ordinances and the guidelines. To me, this is no different. I have neighbors, I know people say dogs aren't the same, but I'm sorry, you have a dog that's this big and you're telling me that's, not, it's only pooping this much a day? I don't think so. That thing is making mountains. Anyway, it all comes down to the homeowner adhering to the ordinances, keeping up, and if there is an issue, then you address it. You don't strike something down and say no just because everything's wound up and you're scared of what may come to pass. I can't live that way personally. You got to deal with what your reality is. So anyhow, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, Tammy Wilms, Waltham in West Beverly. I've been up here many times. I'm not going to try to repeat some of the stuff I said. This evening, a couple of people have said they represent a new generation of residents, chickens are fashionable, all that kind of stuff. I remember feeling that at around 2000 when we wanted Beverly Park improvements. The playground was dangerous. Nothing had been improved in a long time. And it was extremely contentious. People did not want to pay for that. There was also the sidewalk issue. That was extremely contentious. Those were issues that had to do with the greater community and not people's backyards. I am not fearful. I've lived here 27 years. Fear is not part of this. I'm saying that my taxes and other people's taxes that are going just to the same place, that our voices need to be heard. And in my mind, when an issue becomes very controversial, as it did with Beverly Park, we put it on the ballot. And the younger residents outnumbered the older residents, and it won. There should be no fear, speaking of fear, of putting it on the ballot. This is the only thing that makes sense. And it takes it off of all of your shoulders. Never before has anything been this contentious that didn't go to the ballot. So if you are very much against it going to the ballot, for personal reasons or other reasons, I would very much be interested in hearing why your decision on this is more important than all of our decisions on the ballot. I really would like to hear the reasons why you are more qualified to make that decision. Now, yes, there are many decisions the council has to make. This one is clearly contentious. It was on the news. It's brought in more people than we've had in a long time. And in our surrounding communities, there are definitely issues. We had somebody come spend their evening here tonight to tell us their problems. There are issues. I urge all of you to let us decide, and there should be no fear, speaking of fear, of putting it on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg Ernie, Beverly Road. First of all, thank you very much for your service to us. I know this is a lot of time and long evenings, and I appreciate it. And thank you for the sidewalks in front of my house. I really appreciate that. It's been a long time. Tammy eloquently stated that this should be voted on, or she believes it should. I personally am against chickens. However, should we decide as people, and we did vote for you to elect you, but we didn't vote on every single issue. I may have voted for you, but maybe I didn't like your stance on chickens, and I still voted for you. There's a lot of issues. This, to me, could be a divisive issue in the community. Do I like that my neighbor might have chickens? Maybe, maybe not. But if we vote as a community, I will accept the decision. I won't accept the decision of the council. Well, I'll accept it, obviously, but I won't be happy about it. I will be fine if the if the rights of the people are heard in a vote and in a ballot, and it is very divisive. So I would ask you to, I won't, spew out convenient facts for my position, which seems to be the norm these days. We can find anything to support our cause on the internet. I could go do it right now. I could get Chat GPT out. I could do that. Let's just let the people vote. That's all I'm going to ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. All right, we'll take, you can go ahead, sir, and then we'll move back to our online attendees.
John Jennings, Orchard Way. I find it kind of interesting at the last cheeky moment of, sliding in an amendment after all the conversations we've had. And last meeting, we could have brought that up for more discussion than what's going to have to happen tonight. It's serious issues, permitting versus lot size, et cetera. But I want to address Mr. George. You've been such a big cheerleader for Beverly Hills, the parks, Wenbrook, sidewalks, sewers, public safety, Groves High School, and so on. You've always gone into extensive detail, exhaustive sometimes, explaining your vision, explanation of issues like the water rates or defending timings of sidewalks or play structures, et cetera. And yet on the chicken issue, we really haven't heard too much from you at all, except for your deciding vote on the not to appeal the district judge's ruling in the case of the Hidruscos versus the village. You've always pretty much taken a positive role on, or a take on most stuff, and you've been able to not spin so much, but see the positiveness of it. So we would like to hear from you now, though, on how allowing chickens is going to make the village of Beverly Hills better than we have it for now. And also, would you put this on the ballot? We haven't heard from you on that, and we'd like to, and it's been mentioned before. I personally think that allowing chickens is a detriment to the village as we know it. I also believe that all the controversy of the last 8 years, the residents should be given a chance to vote on it, as many as have said. And depending on how you look at it, it's kind of sad that this current council's legacy will be defined and remembered not on Wenbrook or the sidewalks, but on chickens. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, do we have anyone online? Who's up online?
Liam.
Liam. Is Liam on?
Liam O'Gorman, Beverly Road.
There we
go. Good evening, council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I respect the work here everyone here does, but I have to be honest, I'm embarrassed that we are spending so much time debating chickens. Beverly Hills, Michigan is a community with excellent schools, safe neighborhoods, and residents who care about where we live. Yet instead of focusing on real challenges like infrastructure, safety, and sustainability, we are locked in arguments about backyard hens. Communities across the country allow residents to keep few chickens responsibly. According to Michigan State University, ordinances can set clear standards for coop placement, sanitation, and limits on the numbers of hen to address concerns like odor and noise. According to Green America, backyard hens also reduce food waste, control pests, provide natural fertilizer, and teach children where food comes from. It's important to keep in mind that municipalities are increasingly adopting small-scale poultry rules to strengthen food resiliency, and Detroit has recently passed an amendment allowing up to 8 hens with rules to protect neighbors. What is concerning is the energy and division this debate has created. Anti-chicken yard signs are embarrassing. They make us look more divided over something that other cities manage with simple, common-sense rules. I encourage the city to adopt reasonable allowances for backyard hens and focus on the issues that truly matter, improving our community for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Go right ahead, ma'am.
Hi.
You want to move the mic down? I don't know how sensitive it is. I'm probably going to get yelled at. But...
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Hi. My name is Barbara Waldron. I live on Reedmere Avenue. I'd like to thank you for the new street, the new sidewalks, the cutting of the trees within the past couple days. I want to thank you for all those decisions. But I am completely opposed to allowing chickens in Beverly Hills. I have a long speech which I will not go into because it will repeat everything that everyone else has said. But I do want to bring this to your attention. and I am repeating a little bit, but chickens do bring specific noise and odor issues. And we all know that chicken coops can bring rats and rodents if not built properly. My family lives in Southfield, and about 3 weeks ago, we got a letter stating that some of the residents have become aware that there is starting to become a rat problem in Southfield. Now, the letter was very detailed. It was about 10 pages long. I didn't bring it in. It did not say that it had anything to do with chickens, but after hearing all the residents here, I believe that could be a possibility. So I am in favor of placing this issue on the ballot. I agree with the gentleman that lived on Metamora, and I believe I agree with all the residents who oppose this issue. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am.
We have some more on, we have another one on Zoom.
Okay, let's take a couple Zooms, and then we'll come back to in chamber. We're gonna take a couple online real quick.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you, council, for your service and for those who have been working on so hard on this ordinance. Really do appreciate the effort that you've made. I just want to remind...
I need a name and a street, please, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, my name is Scott Hammer. I live on Churchill Drive.
Okay.
Just want to remind my neighbors of the notion of the tyranny of the majority. Often that leads to the suppression of the rights of the minority in our nation. And sometimes we have governments that help us out with those sort of conundrums when the majority does not necessarily agree with the rights of the minority. There's a small minority of people in our village who would like to use their property for chickens. I know there are other minorities in our village who use their property for different purposes as well. We have people who run small businesses out of their properties. We have a number of people who work on their cars, in their garages, in their driveways. We have people who grow gardens for food in their homes. And all these folks probably exist as minorities in our community. So when we start to grow accustomed to depriving minorities of their rights in a community, we can see that that might grow over time and that someone might come after the rights of another minority in our community. So respectfully, I'd ask us to take a pause here and consider the ramifications of depriving some residents of the use of their property in the knowledge that somebody might come after our use sometime, right? Some neighbor might take offense to what I want to do on my property, and I might not have recourse in that matter. We already have ordinances and laws that address many of the nuisances that might come about from the ownership of chickens on their properties. And I'd like to have us all honor each other by not trampling the rights of the minority of our neighbors and remind us of the Gadsden flag. Don't tread on me and don't tread on your neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Who's up next online?
There was a Wendy Hips guy that was online that would like to speak.
Wendy. Do you have to unmute her? Is that what's going on?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm driving through Idaho right now, but wanted to have my voice heard. First of all, as everyone else has said, thank you so very much for all your time, council members. No matter where you stand, we all appreciate how hard you're working on this and understand that it's a difficult topic. I also want to reiterate everything that the last gentleman said. I think that really is the crux of the issue here. There are people who it's more important to them to control what other people are doing instead of just letting people be the people that they are. I've got a lot of comments and a limited amount of time, so I'm just going to kind of speak in bullet points here. Mostly in response to a lot of things I've heard this evening. first of all, and I think quite importantly, I keep hearing about people who are making sort of backhanded remarks about people recusing themselves. Recusal is appropriate when you're going to financially gain from a law. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. We're hearing people saying, I voted for you because I asked your stance on this, and this is where you stood. And I don't think that the council member was ever anything other than fully transparent in where she stood on this issue. And so there were people that voted her in because of where she stood on the issue, and it is not appropriate for her to have to recuse herself because she does not stand to gain from this financially. Another thing I'm hearing, other than the gentleman who has been here for 10 years and has 2 kids, the majority, if not all of the people who have spoken out against the chicken ordinance have been here for a very long time. And I think someone earlier had brought up the point that, change happens. And I feel as though, some of the people who have been here for a very long time want, to freeze time and to not have any change or have any forward movement within our community. One of the people mentioned, for 70 years, we've been not doing this. Well, guess what? For 70 years, there may have been people having backyard chickens and just not telling anyone about it, because there are plenty of people in our village right now who are doing that. Even when this is such a huge issue and it's on the forefront of everyone's minds, there are still people who are doing it, who nobody knows are doing it because it's just not an issue. And they're not coming forward because they don't want to get jumped on by potential health violations, whatever. I hear us being compared, that there's a problem with us being compared to certain cities, and we don't want to be compared to those cities. I would be pretty thrilled if people were comparing Beverly Hills with Franklin and Plymouth and their housing values. I think that's not good. I also...
You got about 30 seconds, Wendy.
I'm sorry?
You got about 30 seconds.
Okay, I think on grass regulation, there are people feeding birds that can bring the exact same thing, and all those people are here anyway, and you can tell people what they are. And there are, and finally, I have more points that I don't have time for, but I think it was very inappropriate that we heard from someone from Royal Oak. I think that's just absolutely not anything that we need to worry about. If Royal Oak is not enforcing their own laws, that's their problem. But we already have laws in place that will take care of every single issue that was brought up this evening as a possible problem.
Thank you. Wendy, I didn't get your street. Could you give me your street name?
I said Wendy Gibson on Sunset.
Okay. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. George, I'm sorry, just real quick, Mr. Rothy, is there any chance, I don't know if the static was because Wendy was traveling or if it's our issue, but even if there's not static, is it possible to turn these speakers up at all? It's just so faint for the folks online.
The online.
I don't know if that's a mic issue or...
Yeah, Mrs. Hipsky, if you could mute your phone, we're getting some feedback, or we can...
It's you or us, but yeah.
Susie's going to go talk to the
cable
guy.
Carissa should be able
Can you mute her? Carissa, can you mute her phone so that we're...
She's driving.
Thanks, Wendy.
Technology, great.
All right. Ma'am.
I appreciate it. I have my daughter to get home too. Marla Periel on Amherst. So I just want to thank the council for the recent updates with all the sidewalks. It's made mobility for my daughter phenomenal and getting to access to all of our beautiful parks in our community. So thank you. I just want to reference a couple of the comments. Well, first, 4-year residents to our community and have phenomenal neighbors. Also raising my daughter here. I have a teenager now. I want to address some of the comments that were made in regards to analogies about paint color of your home choice, working on your vehicle, a second business, or a pool. All of those are structural things that people are doing on their own property and don't have impact to your immediate neighbors. When we look, and let me just preface this by, my daughter would love a chicken, and I wish I could give my daughter, and I want to give my daughter everything in the world. She deserves it for what she's been through. That being said, I am not supporting chickens, and I believe it should go to ballot and it should go to a vote. I really don't think, the council's time should be spent on this any longer. And why? So chickens, though, yes, they are viewed as pets. They are animals that are viewed as both pets as well as livestock historically, right? Cats and dogs have never been looked at in two different silos. They have always been historically pets. So there is challenges with having chickens. A gentleman mentioned, and I don't know who it was, where if a neighbor has chickens, then it could entice a dog, a pet dog, to then incessantly bark because it's in their nature, right? They can't escape the chicken in the backyard. So amongst all of the things, I do have, and I consider myself a very progressive, open to change, so all of those comments made about our long-standing community members, I actually personally take much offense to that because I don't think that age, and long-standing in the community doesn't mean that they're not open to change and whatnot. And I do have friends in local communities, such as Ferndale and whatnot, that allow chickens, and they definitely have a pest problem. I also have family that live in Ray Township that are allowed to have chickens and other animals, and my cousin and her family are constantly dealing with their chickens getting killed by wild animals and whatnot, and so I really think it should go to ballot, and being respectful community members of our council's time, that's how I feel that this should go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Claudette Buck. I live on Glencoe Drive, and I just want to also say that this is too important of an issue. It has been too divisive. It has been going on far too long. And tonight, we're seeing more people that are either, they don't really care one way or another, or also more people that are in favor of chickens. I don't want to live next door to chickens. I don't want to live down the street from chickens. And that's my prerogative. I live in Beverly Hills, and my vote should count. And that's where I don't think right now I am being represented by people on this council. I think that some of the ways that this has, things that have happened, including, in my mind, the judge didn't say anything about make chickens legal with what his ruling was. Why did we not address the part of the ordinance? The first two articles of that ordinance would take care of what the judge wants, and then put it on the ballot. And that's the way it should be. We live in a democracy. And when somebody talked about stepping, the minority, and that they have rights too, well, what about my rights? If the council votes on it, because right now there seems to be more council members who I didn't vote for that favor chickens, but they won for whatever reason, I don't know, or I actually think that the chickens, some of the people didn't know about the chickens, because I do remember somebody calling a council member out another time for the fact that it wasn't mentioned, that I voted for you, and you never mentioned chickens, but you were very sweet and very kind and very this and that, and so there are reasons for not, and to me, again, because it is so controversial, and because you have so many people on either side, I don't understand why any of you would want to take that responsibility. I don't. I just think that, and honestly, if it went to a ballot and chickens got voted in by one vote, I would accept it quietly. But when it goes through this council, all I'm just going to feel like that the council doesn't care what we think, and that we have been made to feel, because again, we've lived in the village 39 years, almost 39 years, and made to feel like we're old and we just aren't keeping up with the times. That is not true. And so that is not what it's about. And even if I am old and I don't want chickens, I should have that right. So.
Thank you.
Linda Remington, Lincolnshire East. You're a hard act to follow. I feel the same thing about being a longtime resident and the age comments. That is so untrue. I want to come up here and say I'm totally against the chickens. I want it on the ballot, and I'd like to hear from those of you who have not expressed what you want to do, go to a ballot or vote here. I'd appreciate hearing what you think. I'd also like to say that I've had major problems with deer, and I am referred to the DNR. The DNR says they're too busy. I've gone to my neighbor. They continue to feed the deer. So when we talk about we have it under control, we'll have the necessary people to follow up, I call that, you know what, that is so untrue. I'm tired of fighting over chickens. I'd also like to say it's been implied to me, and it states in Article 3, the second paragraph, that the regulations of this article are intended to establish conditions under which chickens may be kept in certain residential areas of the village of Beverly Hills. It's been applied to me because I live in Georgetown South. This does not affect me. If you as a group decide to go pro-chickens, that opens the floodgates for all of our neighborhood associations. I can tell you none of the associations are going to be able to stand up to whatever you decide. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next? Anyone online? Oh.
Yes.
Alan Studi, is it on? Alan Studi, Dunblane Avenue. I've spoken previously against the chicken ordinance, and my opinion has not changed. Obviously, there's more people here tonight who have spoken in favor than there have been at any of the previous meetings. I think all that does is reinforce that council should not be making this decision. Put it on a ballot, let the residents decide what is right for the village. I know how I'm going to vote. There's obviously people here tonight who know how they're going to vote. But just because you were elected into council does not mean that on a highly contentious issue that could be put to a vote, that you should unilaterally make the decision. And that's the message that I would leave for all of you. And let's do this the right way. I will accept the outcome of a vote, but I think if council, some of who have a clear bias in this, make a decision, I question how legitimate that decision is from elected officials. Thank you.
Thank you. We got someone online? Matt?
Yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, my name is Matt Roberts. I live on Riverside. I've been a resident for well over 40 years, and I think I've been to more meetings or Zoomed in more meetings over the last year and a half than the previous 40 plus years. And it's primarily because of the chicken issue. And I don't really blame the chickens for it. I think that we as residents should have the right somehow to vote on this so that we can determine for sure what the majority of the residents of this village want to see. And I would appreciate it, as has been mentioned before, if each of the council members would comment. 3 have already commented that they would support putting it on the ballot. 2 indicated that they were not against it at a bare minimum when they ran for office last fall. So I'd like to hear, John, from you as to where you stand on this. Again, why aren't we going to put it on the ballot? And I really don't think it's up to the residents to go out and get the signatures when it can easily be done right here in the council chambers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Diane Brody, Sunset Drive. I wasn't going to speak, but I feel like I need to go full circle because I was one of the first people that stood up here in 2018 about this, which I still have, the infamous PowerPoint and the survey. And again, from my living room during COVID. And at that point, I was one of the first people again speaking about it and got a kind of a following. Maybe I was the leader at that point, spread wider, but I really followed this. And as much as I would like it to be over, it's, definitely cannot, I don't believe it can be over tonight based on all the points brought up, especially by my husband, Todd, who's spent a lot of time on this. He's kind of an honorary member of the subcommittee, I think. I don't know, he should get an award. But I continue to be disappointed also by the games and the, untoward behavior, I guess, and conduct by, after not. In the 4 subcommittee meetings that I attended to, Todd was at 4 of them, the lot size was an issue. It was supposed to be presented to the council as an option. It was talked about at the first reading, nothing brought up until tonight, sliding it in as an amendment at the 11th hour. And another thing, which I guess Todd brought up, another thing that was slid in as the manure. I mean, it's really too easy to insert a chicken shit joke here, but manure, but I mean, you're adding the manure quantities into this and expecting to vote on that tonight without additional discussion about it. I'm not sure I've ever been convinced that a vote is the way to go. Obviously, I would be for that. Like I said, I would like this to be over, but the behavior and the conduct of, as the person before me said, how the vote would go tonight, I think is one of the largest problems. But overall, I also wanted to add, the silver lining of it all, I guess, for some of us is that based on this, and I've spent a lot of time with people in here and in this room, I've met some people that I never would have met. I've met neighbors I never would have met, and people, based on how some of you, have categorized us as a certain type of person or a certain political party, and it really crosses everything. And ages, I guess I'm in the middle of haven't lived here 40 years, but I haven't just moved in. I've been in the village about 13 years. So if there is a silver lining, it's that I've met people I wouldn't have met before and have exchanged views on things and try to convince people to run for council, to change things if you don't like how things are going. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Just need your name and your street.
Bill Whalen, Amherst. I'm just wondering how many times you guys have to put it on the ballot and what the problem is with that. It's pretty obvious that the community wants it on the ballot. What is the problem with putting it on the ballot? I mean, maybe you can comment on that later, but I just don't know how many times you guys have to hear that. Also, Mr. Gorman, Katie Maxwell in particular asked me to ask you, she said that you emailed her and asked her about the number of people who were against having chickens, and you told her you weren't seeing that, and she sent you a bunch of information after that and asked you to show your side of the argument, I guess, and you never got back to her, and she was wondering if you would do that. if you remember, I guess.
Thank you. Who's next?
Mark Mellendy, Kinross Avenue. About the only person here who's probably knows more about the details would be Mr. Ryan here. He's definitely sat on this committee council for like at least several times over any of you. And I would like to know, why, from a legal perspective, maybe he didn't push putting this on the ballot in that regard. Also, I'd like to ask, this is just more for the manager here, why it takes so long for the minutes to appear on online. It seems like it takes like over a month. I mean, after they've been approved at a meeting, it seems to take like 2-3 weeks after that. So I was questioning that. In regards to, new things, when I have millennial, gen, whatever, age, when we moved in here 30 plus years ago, we wanted sidewalks. I remember trying to push a stroller down the side of Beverly Road because the sidewalk ran out. So, I was all for change. I'm still for positive change, positive infrastructure change that benefits the greater good. I live off of Pierce and gone through all summer of dust and dirt while they put in a new water line. So I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the new sidewalks that have come through. So because I see people immediately using those, and it's awesome. But because they're for the greater good, they're for the masses, they're for everyone, not an individual who can then impact people by their choice of chickens. And what we've heard of noise, manure, vermin, all that coming into that. People that talked about swimming pools and gardens, those are individuals that don't spread out amongst their neighbors. And just to go on to the fact on why chickens are livestock. I mean, you go to any farm community. So if you want chickens, go to a farm, go buy a farm, and then you can have your kids, if they're interested, be a 4-H student, where they can treat those livestock if they want as something they like maybe in a pet type of version, but they know at the end of the day that the animal is livestock and is going to be sold. So, again, thank you very much. I agree that this needs to go to the ballot.
Thank you, sir. Who's next? Anyone online? No? Anyone else in chamber? Yes, sir.
Mike Zigley, Waltham Court. I'll keep this brief. I'm opposed to chicken ordinance, and I would strongly urge, as has been mentioned multiple times tonight, for Article 3 to go to the vote for the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Todd Williams, Waltham Drive. Put it on the ballot.
All right.
Pretty simple.
Anyone else? Going once. No one else online. All right. Thank you to everybody who took the time to show up tonight, provide your perspective on it. Greatly appreciate it. Council. We're back to 2 draft versions. Get back to my ordinance.
President.
Yes, sir.
If I may, we have a motion that's on the table that we have to adjudicate.
Is it being modified or not?
Well, I would ask that we limit the permits to 10. If that friendly amendment is allowed, we'd have to have the person who made the resolution or the amendment and then the support of that person to accept that.
Can I ask a question first?
Yes.
Mr. Rothy, do we have any idea how many homeowners in the village currently have chickens?
No.
Oh, muttering of it's illegal aside, I mean, we know that we have a number of families, and I don't want to put people in a situation where, we've made an arbitrary decision without information about who we're affecting. I would also consider, changing my suggested amendment to quarter acre if eliminating the lot size restriction was problematic. But I just, in terms of, I hesitate to make a decision on the permit without more information about how many people that's impacting.
And I don't know that we're going to get
And I don't
information
think
until
I don't think that information's knowable, right?
Not currently.
Can I also just provide the nuance that we also have limiting factors in that these coops are counting as auxiliary structures. So people that are looking to add something and already have a shed or a garage, which everybody does, like essentially you can have a garage and a chicken coop and that is it. So that is going to limit the number of new coops that are allowed to be built anyway. So just something to consider when you're looking at lot size. We have the 10-foot restriction, which there's going to be lots that are not going to be able to fit in a coop within 10 feet of the, I guess we could say building envelope, allowable building envelope for the coop. We have a limit on the number of structures, right? So, I'm open to talking about a quarter acre, but I don't honestly know how many people that in and of itself takes out. And, we say we limit it to a quarter acre, and what about the person that has 0.24, right? And so, it's better than a half acre, but I definitely feel like there's no other animal in the village that we're saying you have to be able to afford a certain amount of land in order to be able to have it. So, and there are written limitations within this ordinance that will in and of themselves, and honestly, the work around keeping chickens is going to limit the amount of people that want to take it on. I don't think this is something that's going to have, hundreds of people doing it. It's a few people that want to live a little differently inside our village.
So then limiting permits would seem reasonable then?
Well, it seems like it's self-limiting, I guess, is my consideration. And Mr. George, I would just propose, I've offered an amendment. It's been supported, if we'd like to move forward or not.
No, thank you. You've offered to remove?
I offered to strike.
Strike.
I made a motion to strike the minimum lot size.
Are you accepting the amendment that would install a number of permits?
Not at 10, no. Maybe at 20. I mean, we're having I'm not engaged, Mr.
The challenge we've got, and people are going to have to understand that we've modified village code before. So sometimes you pass something and then you have to figure out whether it's working as intended. So that's what we're trying to do. This is challenging because we don't have data on some of this. So we're not going to know if we don't permit it or until we permit it. So I understand the desire. So what's the option? Are we sticking with no lot size and a number of permits, or a quarter acre and no restriction on permits? What's the goal? Do you want to accept an amendment to the no lot size?
I'm trying to understand procedurally how we're moving forward here.
Tom, we had a motion to amend to remove the lot size restriction that was supported. There has not been a formal ask and support for a number, so.
I did ask for 10. I absolutely
10?
did. Yeah,
Okay.
and that was actually struck, that was.
I thought that was agreed to.
Did we get support on 10?
I thought between Ms. Cascamani and Mr. Mercier, that was, their discussion was.
If 10's not right and you want to vote on that and change it,
No, I mean, I thought we were having a conversation
Yeah.
about it, right? I mean,
Me too.
we were working out ideas. I don't think I was signing a contract, right?
Right.
You know, I mean, in prior years, we had talked about the idea of a pilot program, right? Perhaps we work in a sunset on the number of permits, and we say, you know, this is to be revisited, sort of, you know. What I think a limiting number of permits does for us in the short term is it gives us information, right? It gives us, you know, whether it's 10, whether it's 20, you know, it's still a very small number of homes out of 4,000. And we would get information about how do those inspections go? What are nuisance complaints like? I mean, you know, we've heard reference to a lot of other communities in the state that have done this. The research I've done has not shown that communities have gone back and rescinded those. They've expanded them, right? And so I don't think at this stage limiting the number of permits is necessary, but if it gets us moving forward tonight, that's fine.
so you're good with 10?
Sure.
So there's been a motion that's supported to remove the lot size restriction and cap permits at 10. That's been, the motion has been supported. Good with that? All those in favor of the amendment to Section 3? Aye.
Aye.
I probably should do a roll call.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Thank you.
And just to be, I'm thinking what, and I don't know if I can
Structurally.
modify this language, but what I'm hearing is essentially Ms. Cascamati is saying to replace the existing section 860B to read, this would be in italics, number of permits. Only 10 permits shall be issued within the village at any one time. That's functionally what we're doing, correct? I just want to, I think that might be the best way of saying it, so when we're taking the minutes and we're writing this thing, that's what you're voting on at this moment.
So changing B from minimum lot size to
Number of permits.
number of permits.
No more than, and then
Right.
it would say no more than 10 permits shall be issued at any one time, or shall be outstanding at any one time within the village. That's probably how I would write it.
I can move forward with this, but my question is, what do we do next? So we have 10, and I want to make sure we are all on the same page with our progress forward, right? Because, so we have 10 permits now, and let's say in a year, we decide everything's fine, like, just like fences, everybody showed up and said how horrible it was going to be, and then there's not a lot of conversation around that afterwards. Do we just amend it? Do we put, within the first year of adoption, there's only 10 permits allowed, and then give a timeline for future councils to readdress that? I don't want, my concern is that we're stuck at 10 forever, and again, number 11, when there's been no issue, can't get a permit because we didn't have a plan moving forward. So if we are going to agree to this, I would just ask that we put some sort of time frame in for when the rest of the village outside of those 10 has the opportunity to also have the same rights as those 10.
I'd probably prefer that be a conversation for a later date rather than trying to wordsmith every, I think, that would be my preference. I'm open to language if you're suggesting a modification, but I would.
So the plan is just no plan.
I
I just want to make sure that, like, we're in a year when we're like, we should talk about this again, like we have an avenue to have the conversation.
We do have an avenue to have the conversation.
Right, I mean, the avenue would be that we bring it up.
Yes.
If, I mean, so you could build in, I'm sorry, Mr. George, could we just get quiet in the chambers? I have a hard time following this
We're trying
conversation.
to, if everyone could please, we're trying to have a conversation here, so I get that there's a lot of interest in it, but we're trying to
We've got
get
folks
it done.
online trying to listen, and it's difficult. A mechanism we could build in is a sunset, right? We could say, in the first year, or the first 2 years, and then that expires, it would prompt it. I mean, I don't disagree that there's a mechanism in that, a year from now, we can ask Mr. Rothy for a report on how this is going, right? We'd like a report we'd like to see the inspection reports, we'd like to see the number of complaints, we'd like to see all of that, and we could, the downside of that is leaving this issue unsettled in the community, right?
That's my concern.
And bringing it
But
back up.
So a couple things. One, I keep going back to this subcommittee.
Yeah.
And we talked about a number of things. One, we talked about a pilot program, and that really didn't gain traction. So we talked about lot size. We talked about number of permits. Because we weren't doing a pilot, we said we want to try to limit this so that we have a number that would be for the lots that were available, so that would already limit it, and you wouldn't have an overabundance of them in one area where there are small lot sizes, right? Unless you had a limit of permits. We went with the lot size number, not with the number of permits. That's kind of where it landed in the subcommittee, okay? So that's what we went with. This is not like, when you talk about sunsetting and doing it for a year, this isn't, people, I think, go at this like, it's like the budget for the United States, and they sunset the tax laws because they don't know where they're going to get the next revenue. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about here is we have at every council the ability to get something on the agenda if it's allowed, if it gets enough support from the council to talk about this again. So, yeah, you can sunset it, but we won't talk about it again then, or we could if we can get enough people on that want to talk about it. Or we don't sunset it, we just leave it on there, and then we look at it again in a year with all the data. It seems to me that you'd want to do this, and after a year, look at all the data and then decide, instead of sunsetting it. That's just my opinion.
Well, if I may, I would think the sunsetting would, I would think the sunsetting would then prompt us to look at the data and either continue at 10 or say, okay, 10's good, maybe 15. So sunsetting just gives us a time frame for this conversation, right? That we're gonna allow 10 and we're gonna circle back. My fear is that nobody's gonna wanna talk about it again.
Yeah.
And I fully understand that sentiment, but I don't want that to be at the detriment of other people in this village who are eager to have an opportunity. And so I think that if we're gonna compromise here and do a limited number, then we say limited number to 15 in the first year, and the first meeting in October of next year, we either decide to keep it at what that number is or change it. And that gives us an entire year or 2 years. I don't care. I just think that we should have some type of parameter around that. That's all I'm asking to be considered.
You're looking for the prompt, yeah. I'm sorry.
Mr. Ryan, are you aware of an ordinance in other communities that is written that way, that was just proposed, where within the body of the ordinance, there is this type of description of this ordinance is good for the first year with this aspect to it, and then on a specific date in 2026, the council's going to review the ordinance again to see if this thing needs to be changed? Or Mrs. Steck, maybe you're a little more, either or.
Both parts.
This is an ordinance, right? This isn't like a another type of thing that gets done up here, like the ordinance needs to be an ordinance if it's going to be voted on as an ordinance.
So Oak Park set their entire chicken ordinance, right, up as a pilot program. They allowed 5 permits. And they said, all right, we're trying this out for a year. And they gave a date specific within their ordinance. And the way their sunset clause was written was that if council did not take any action, right, then the ordinance would remain in effect, right, with no changes. If council took action, then, then that process, then whatever amendments were made, right? In this case, Oak Park said, all right, here's the sunset, five permits, and the sunset came and went, and no changes were made, and the ordinance is now just in effect as a standing ordinance, right? So.
With 5 permits or?
With 5 permits.
Yeah.
Essentially, you're putting a moratorium on the number of permits that are issued.
They put a.
They're limiting it.
Their sunset clause was basically kind of reverse in that they said, hey, if there are no issues, we'll just continue it the way it is. But it doesn't make a lot of sense because the council could do that anyway. They could look at it at any time, right? But they just wrote it so that because it's like if something comes up, it comes up, they talk about it. Otherwise, you just let it go. What we're saying is we're putting it as 10. We could say, if nothing goes on, we can go on in perpetuity for 10 until something comes up. Because they didn't do anything and it went into effect and it's now 5 after that first year, newsflash, Oak Park can still go back and revisit that. It's an ordinance.
Understood. We're just trying to figure out if there's a mechanism by which we don't have to revisit it if there's not a need to, I think is the.
That's what I'm asking.
Right, so
Is there another community besides Oak Park you're aware of that has done something similar as part of their ordinance? Not as a pilot program, but actually as ordinance on their books?
I mean, their pilot program is ordinance.
Yeah.
So you got
that's how their ordinance is,
How Oak
right?
Park did it. Is there another community you're aware of off
I
the top of your head?
believe Chuck Berkeley. I believe Berkeley had something to start out with, and then it.
I'm just trying to find out if we're blazing a path here that
Most
has not
people-
been blazed before
No, I think
as
that.
part of this process, or if we're trying to follow a path that other communities have voted on an ordinance one way or another. I've seen multiple ordinances going both ways on this.
I'm not aware.
I was unaware of the Oak Park one.
Sorry, I'm not aware we've done a pilot program for an ordinance in Beverly Hills, but they've been done in other communities in the state, so.
And not just sometimes they're done not involving animals.
Right.
The most common one, I won't name the thing because I don't want to say the thing out loud and have everybody thinking that's the next big thing. It might rhyme with a course term rental. But that is another thing that communities have done, that where they'll do a language around that. They'll do a year pilot, look at it, or they'll put a sunset, whether it's a forward-looking sunset or a backward-looking sunset, but it is something I believe the council should the relevant motions be made, or if the direction the administration is to proceed with some type of review clause or look back. Again, I think though the thing I caught on to Ms. Steck's comments again is Oak Park's approach was the entire, basically our version of Article 3. It wasn't just a specific subsection. As they said, this whole thing. So again, that would be a little different if we only tie it to one specific subsection. So just as you're considering moving forward in some way, please just keep that in mind, that it may be easier to just put the whole thing on for the year versus a single section.
But the single section being the number of permits.
Depending on how it's written, yeah. You could do either or, and I'm going to stop talking because I might be causing some confusion at the moment.
Yes.
And for the record, Berkeley's, there is no sunset clause in their ordinance that I'm looking at right now. They do, however, limit their permits to a maximum number of 5 on a first-come, first-serve basis. So, but I do agree with Manager Rothy that if a sunset clause is something that this council would like, I think it would be a
much cleaner way to do it for the whole section and not just based on a subsection.
Which leaves us where?
So can I ask what the motion is that's on the table now and has been supported?
We had to the best of my understanding, we had a support for removing the lot size restriction. I did not memorialize that we had support for 10 permits tied to no lot size restriction. If that's your recommendation, we will ask Mrs. Cascametti if she will accept that on her motion. If there is some other path, then I'm at peace with that.
So is that the way that you see it now, Tracy, that the 10 is not on there?
Correct. I thought we were discussing whether or not the 10 was on there and whether or not sunset was a...
I thought before we took the public comment that we just decided that, but okay.
And if she's not on board with that, we can vote on that and then move forward with something that, after the discussion that has taken place, that anyone else suggests, or anyone suggests.
Mr. George, if I could, I'm concerned, I know I'm the one that brought up the discussion of sunset. I'm not in favor of the idea of the sunset applying to the entire Article 3. I would only be in favor of the sunset applying to the limitation on the number of permits. And my preference would be sort of the reverse of what we heard, that, the first year there's, some limitation, and unless acted on by council, that limitation then sunsets. That's what I would be in favor of if we're going in, because then we would have the data and we'd say, okay, we think it's important to keep this restriction, or we let that restriction expire. Alternatively, I would just stand behind my original amendment that we eliminate the minimum lot size.
Okay, so the
then are we...
motion that's on the table that's been supported is no lot size limit.
With no restrictions on that or no modifications to it?
Correct.
Okay.
Just strike an item B, period.
All right. That was, the motion was put forth and supported. Ms. Brown, would you like to call the roll?
Mr. Abboud?
No.
Mr. Drummond?
No.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Rojusco?
Yes.
Ms. Cascametti?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
No.
Mr. O'Gorman?
No.
Motion failed.
Okay. All right. Next up.
So, Mr. George, if I might.
Yes.
Have a couple minutes.
If you would embellish me for a moment, Mr. Mercer, if I could just ask a question? Okay.
Yes.
So, given the motion that just
Mr.
went through.
O'Gorman, could you just lean forward?
I'm sorry, I had a bad habit. Thank you, Mr. Mercer, for yielding some time. I wanted to ask Mr. Mercer if he was going to address the issue that was just discussed, or if he's going to move on to alternative topics, because I would like to continue the discussion on that issue, given that the current motion was voted down.
So I would like, that's correct. The motion was not
approved.
So the lot size restriction is still
removing the lot size restriction was voted down.
Without any limits.
Right. So I'd like to make a suggestion on proceeding. And I would like to make right now, so we can move on, a resolution that this council adopts Articles 1 and 2 as written. And that's my resolution that's on the floor right now.
Support.
So I have support. And let me now discuss a little bit about this, why I did that. That gets us to at least having an ordinance, if we vote this in, on the books. We can then have additional discussion on Article 3 and decide on that. We can decide that tonight, or we can decide that at a later time. But from what I hear tonight, not just from people in the chamber, the residents, but even at this council table, is there are changes that people want to have made to this article that really hadn't been discussed and put out there even for a first reading. let alone a second reading. So that's why I am saying, let's put out there, let's get at least 1 and 2 over the bridge, and then discuss Article 3.
The motion?
It's been
No,
supported.
it's already been supported. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll? And I will say for my part, as long as we're doing discussion on this, you talk about changes people want to see made. We've had people communicate change requests to us on 1 and 2 also. So those aren't clean in the eyes of the community.
Oh, I'm not saying that there's not room for improvement, probably, but we're going to make changes to these. I mean, we make changes to ordinances all the time. We're going to get that.
Ms. Brown, would you call the roll? Yes, sir.
Mr. Mercer, or Councilman Mercer, just to be clear, you're essentially asking us, the council, to consider voting on version B of the ordinance.
Correct.
Sure.
Which this does not allow chickens.
But
Correct.
Article 1 and 2.
I'm looking to vote on Articles 1 and 2.
Yeah,
Which
but
is
there's a
version B.
section- Yeah, it would have to be version B, or you'd have to make some modifications too, because in 8.3 reference, one version of 8.3 references Article 3, so we're going to have to clarify.
Yeah, we
It's version B, 392B is,
I believe that's what it was. I just wanted, so everybody knows, that's what the minutes will say.
So,
You voted on.
I don't know if you want to, if, based on the memo, you want to be clear on which option, because it does.
Sure, I guess, but that's not what I wanted to do here tonight. I didn't want to limit it. That's not what I.
No, but there are two versions.
I get it.
No,
but
I understand.
But when we did this, I asked that not to be the way it was done, but it was done that way. That's why I said, look, 1 and 2 are basically standalone, except for that one area. We could have addressed that. I would rather say we're going to go Article 1 and 2 and strip out that area right now of Article 3 and then put it back in if we want to go forward with 3. But if that can't happen, I guess I got to go with version B.
Which I think it does what you want it to do. The only difference apart from Article 3 from Ordinance A or version B is language in Section 8.3, keeping of animals. I get it. So you want the Ordinance B version of Section 8.3.
Because you're saying that has to be that way. That's not my intent.
Different.
I get it. They're not, okay. Yeah.
There is different language, and Warren just pointed out
There's
what's
a whole
different.
Article 3 on the one.
No, sir.
John,
Articles 1 and 2 are different depending on which version you're talking about. So we're just trying to make sure that everyone's clear that we're voting on the right thing.
Yes,
That's
B.
it.
Yes, that's right. Okay. Yes. So yes, I called the question on my resolution was for B.
All right.
I'm still in support of B.
So, just so that I understand, if we approve B, we're then essentially outlawing chickens because the language in B is for, it specifically says in the things that aren't allowed, it includes that, correct?
Yes.
So that's what we want to vote on before we have any more conversation on the rest of this.
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
Mr. George?
No.
Ms. Rodrisco?
Nope.
Ms. Cascametti?
No.
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Mr. O'Gorman?
No.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Motion failed.
Motion failed.
All right. So then, any changes that we'd like to discuss before we vote, or someone makes a recommendation, a resolution, to one of the versions?
Mr. O'Gorman has that.
Yes.
Mr. George, I'd like to revisit the recommended amendment that was discussed previously, but given the information from the subcommittee that either lot size or permit limit would be appropriate, I would propose we change B to remove the lot size and change that to 15 permits and no sunset associated with that. That's just the permit level that we're willing to move forward with in the community. It's less than 0.5% of homes in the community, and it is reasonable to me based on what I understand. So that would be my motion.
So that would be back to section 860, minimum lot size, changing that to number of permits. and saying the maximum number of permits
It's 15.
at any one time is 15.
Correct. And obviously, within some point in the future, that could be rediscussed, but I would not put a sunset on it and allow it to open up unconstrained at that point. And also had mentally considered a 2-year cadence of reviewing that, but I really want to put this kind of down, and if we want it to come up again, a future council would have to have that discussion, and I think that would be appropriate. So that would be my motion at this time.
May I?
Mr. George,
Do we have to seek support before a discussion, Mr. Ryan?
Probably should, yes, sir.
Support.
All right, support from Mrs. Cascometti.
Can I ask a
Discussion.
clarifying
Yes.
question of administration on how you see permitting working? Are the number of permits to be issued limited to people who actually use the permit? So if I understand the way the ordinance is written, you apply for a permit, and within 30 days, you schedule an inspection. Does the homeowner forfeit their permit if they never move forward and keep the animal?
My first thought is, yes, it would be forfeited, because unless they actually constructed the facilities, which are a part of having a permit, if we show up, within the 30 days and there's no facilities, well, they didn't meet the terms of the permit, so they didn't get the permit. So I would address it that way.
Okay, I appreciate that, thank you.
I would agree with that.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Just clarification on that motion again. So you're saying instead of 4 chickens, you want 15 chickens, or is that?
No.
Permits.
15
number of permits.
houses in the entire village of Beverly Hills can keep backyard chickens.
Thank you.
Yep.
And I just want to make sure I understand, again, we understand there is a sunset on that or no sunset?
No.
No
Okay.
intention for sunset. The council can always retake up the issue and change the number of permits, which is their right. So in some future timeframe.
So there's a motion that was supported to modify Section 860, keeping of chickens, to strike B, or to change it to number of permits and.
In ordinance version A.
I'm sorry, in ordinance version A. Number of permits being 15. Maximum number of permits being 15.
No lot restriction.
Amendment to A. Recommended, supported. Ms. Brown, would you call the roll?
Mr. George,
Yes.
Ms. Rojusco,
I'm sorry, I just need a second to think. Sorry, I need a minute to figure out what I'm doing.
Okay.
I mean, the whole point of taking away the lot restriction, we're actually now making this ordinance more limiting than it was with a lot restriction. And without a sunset, we don't give anybody the opportunity to have that opportunity moving forward.
We have the opportunity, we just don't force the opportunity. And I'm sorry, Mr. George.
No,
Discussion,
I
but, yeah.
appreciate it. Like, I'm struggling with this because I want to see this happen for people, and I want to find something we can agree on. But I also hear from everybody in this community, they don't want to talk about this anymore. And so, for number 16, what does that mean? So I'm struggling.
If Ms. Rojusco is willing to yield time to her vote, I don't know if that's appropriate, Mr. Ryan, when we're in a voting, for me to make a comment?
It's up to the chair.
Just
Ms. Rojusco seems to be struggling, and I wanted to provide my intent.
But I would appreciate, I mean, I want, like I said, I want this.
With more discussion on it.
I want this to be a success. And I don't want something that ends up not being an issue to become an issue again just because we bring the conversation up. And so, if I know that that if I know and I can trust that we can have this conversation again, but we don't have that written down anywhere.
Right.
And one thing I've learned is that if it's not written down, people like to go whatever way they go with it. And that's not necessarily what the intent of the of it was. And so this is more limiting than a half acre. This is fewer homes that will be allowed to have it. So yeah, I don't think that my intent is to be more limiting in an ordinance. I would be considered a higher number, but 15 is fewer homes allowed to do it. Then why would not just keep the half acre? Like, what are we doing?
Mr. George, can I comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, I need to help to understand.
I understand.
The help understanding is we're in the middle of a vote, and we have to get to something that a group of people can agree on.
Yeah.
And if we don't get there, then...
I understand, and I want to get there. I'm not saying I don't want to get there. I'm just trying to make sure that I am representing the people that I'm here to represent and the people that have reached out to me and asked me for help on this.
Mr. George, if I could get your permission.
Okay, excuse me. All right, we need to, we're trying not to gavel people down here. We need to be able to have a conversation amongst the people who are elected to make these decisions. Sir, that's why I get the gavel, all right? So I'm trying to control what's going on here. I've got a cop right there for you to talk to if you want to go out and talk about how you think we're running the meeting.
Mr. George, if I could?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Jusko, my logic is that we have a community that's divided on this. I don't think it's the majority of the community, but I do think we have a large portion of the community that's divided. I think that this is a step forward that allows a compromise, that allows us to move forward, evaluate this, and if it's successful, we don't see significant complaints, we success with the 15 that get the permits, assuming all 15 permits are taken, then it can be reevaluated at that time. We should have sufficient data internally to the village, the administration will have the information, and it's not a pilot. So it gives us in perpetuity 15, unless the council wants to reduce that, which is also as applicable as increasing it. So I think, for me, this is a decent compromise. That lot size seems to be a contentious issue. I think what I've heard from the subcommittee, it's lot size or it's permits. I think if we do kind of an uncontained introduction of this capability for residents to experience, it could become volatile over time. I think 15 is a healthy number. That, if I've missed the number and we have 20 people that have chickens, first 15, first come, first serve, and we can reevaluate. We don't have to wait 2 years. We don't have to wait any discrete amount of time. But we can wait until we have some information to be confident that our residents are responsible. So that's all I'm saying is I'm trying to create something that allows us to move forward and we can actually vote on an outcome. I think right now we're kind of deadlocked to some degree, and I'd like to make that proposal because it seemed like the right compromise between Mr. Mercer and Ms. Kescometti, and Ms. Kescometti supported, so I think we're in the right space. Not ideal. I don't think we're going to get ideal out of this, to be honest. So that's just my point of view. I just wanted to give you my intent. Intent was to move forward.
As long as you all understand that in 365 days, I'm going to ask for this to be put back on the agenda. Because what we're passing now is more restrictive than the half acre. I appreciate, Mr. Rothy, that you're explaining that we can't just have a bunch of people that don't want chickens take all the things and keep people that want to do this from doing this.
If I could, Mr. George, one additional piece of context. I don't actually believe it is more limiting than the minimum lot size, because I think the minimum lot size cut out so many households, and I think 15 is probably in the ballpark of the number of takers we're going to have on this, right? Given what we know about the folks that already have it, the people that have expressed genuine interest. And if at a year, what Mr. Rothy tells us is that the 15 the first 15 went really well, and there were no complaints, there were no concerns, and in fact, we had 40 people apply for permits, then that tells us there's a demand in the community that tells us that the program went well. And on the flip side, if we hear that only 5 people took it up, and there's also been no problems, then maybe 15 is okay, right? I appreciate the step forward, but that's enough.
Yes, I'm going to agree with that. I'm sorry,
On to next.
Finance Committee,
Yes.
Mr. Mercer,
No.
Mr. O'Gorman,
Yes.
Mr. Abud,
No.
Mr. Drummond.
No.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. So as it stands, we have version A with a modification for no lot size restriction, but 15 permits maximum. Mrs. Cascametti.
I would like to make a motion that we adopt version A as amended.
Support.
Support from Ms. Rajewsko. Any discussion from council? No. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. George, I don't have discussion, but I would like to make comment if I can,
Sure.
before we make the vote. I would like to thank all the community members. I didn't want to wait for my council comments in case people en masse leave, but I want to thank all the community members who came here tonight and voiced their points of view, but more importantly, I want to voice my appreciation for the decorum and maturity. There was obviously body language. People are frustrated by this, but I do appreciate that this was a very civil and organized effort. People came to the podium, spoke respectfully about the issue, stated their concerns. I have heard all the concerns. Anybody who's curious why or how this vote that is about to commence, I made that decision. Feel free to contact me directly, talk to you on the phone, no problem. But I did want to express my thanks to the community. This could have been a lot uglier, and I think it was done very well, and I appreciate the staff from our police force that was here and didn't have to do anything. So again, great respect to our community and slight applause for both sides having the right decorum and not, staying respectful. So anyway, sorry, Mr. George, just wanted to point that out.
All right, thank you. Ms. Brown, would you call the roll?
Ms. Rajewsko,
Yes.
Ms. Cascametti,
Yes.
Mr. Mercer,
No.
Mr. O'Gorman,
Yes.
Mr. Abud,
No.
Mr. Drummond,
No.
Mr. George.
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. That's the end of that. Thank you for everyone who came out. We've got plenty more on the agenda if people would like to stick around. I'll have some comments on it at the end to answer some of the questions. So, thank you to administration for all the hard work as well. On to the next item on the business agenda, village attorney search update. Ms. Brown, I don't know if you got that spreadsheet or if you can throw it up on I sent an email. If you look at the email, see if that link opens. I don't know if either member of the Personnel Committee would like to kind of brief on this, but table setting wise, we've issued an RFP for legal services for the community. Mr. Ryan is staying on to do the prosecution work and go to court on behalf of the tickets that we issue in the village, but is freeing up some evenings to step away from the council desk. So we issued an RFP. We got, I think, 13 responses. Make sure the link opens before you throw it up. It should just be one PowerPoint slide. Got, I think, 13 RFP responses. The Personnel Committee went through those. Personnel Committee consisting of myself, Mr. Drummond, Mrs. Cascametti, went through those, narrowed it to 5 that we spent some time on the phone with. Trying to understand their qualifications, how they'd approach it, how we felt their folks would work with council, and have some recommendations once we get to, I don't know if this is going to work or not, once we get to hopefully it
Well,
Yeah, there you go.
Keep going.
Hopefully, and out of the 5, there's, I believe, 3 that we're recommending that we think next steps would be to put in front of council, schedule a special session to get in front of, hey, there we go, if we can blow that up.
Yeah, I just can't.
Yeah, I had trouble blowing it up too, but we had a bunch, and that's a good challenge to have. The decision on which 5 to interview, the top 5 with some color around them, and excuse if there are some, this is a notes and review tab turned into just kind of a quick spreadsheet so we can give an update. But there were some that felt like they'd be a good fit based on the number of attorneys they had, how much they focused on municipal work. And, like we said, you have to make a cut line somewhere, and we're trying to figure out how to not have, it seemed like there was, our goal was to try to distill it to a manageable number to have all of council interview and come away with a decision. So, Mr. Drummond, Mrs. Cascametti, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that?
Andy, I've talked a lot tonight. I'll defer to you.
Sure. No, I'm similar to what Mr. George just approached here. We received pretty good, like the responses we received from all 13 people were pretty in-depth. Some of them were, north of 30, 40 pages. Some of them are a little bit shorter. But when the 3 of us, we had some time to go through each of them on our own. When we sat down, I believe we might have been I think the top 5 that we all had were all the same. I think for one, there was like one outlier there that was one different than that. But, it was pretty clear in my mind that the 5 that we have highlighted there in the green and the yellow were definitely the best that rose to the top, and we all agreed on that prior to even talking and discussing where it was. I think we each maybe had a slightly different order in where we put those top 5, but we all agreed on those top 5. And then after holding phone interviews with the 5 over the past couple days, we again agreed unanimously on cutting the 2 of them and eliminating it down to 3 for you guys. And personally, I think all 3 of those there in green are going to represent us very well. They all have good track records. They all come with good reputations. They are all working in other communities around, and they are all the lead attorney for each of these firms. They're all based locally around us here. So there was a firm we had a response from in Okemos that, that would be much farther away for them to come to meetings on short notice and special meetings and what have you, but all the ones here, I think, could easily serve us all well.
And I think the top 3 represent a good mix of the Kelly firm. I think they're more like 15 attorneys. Foster Swift is a big firm that has a municipal law division within it. Rosati is specifically municipal law, and I think they said, headed to 32 attorneys here in the next handful of months. So you've got kind of a small, medium, large. Large being more of an outlier, I'd say, just because that's a large firm that isn't specializing. The other 2 are specialists. But they, bring their own, I think, value proposition and are worth hearing from, even though they are on the higher end of the price scale. Questions, comments?
You can just forward that, please.
Yeah, I would assume Mr.
I will forward the email after, so I don't have to click away, but I will forward it on to everybody.
Yeah.
Early.
Yeah, and I mean, whatever if you want to forward all the responses, that's fine. I mean, everybody took, you can decide if you want to look at the ones we're not recommending that are the bottom half of the list, but, it was, through ranking, we all kind of felt like we had the same short list and had good conversations with everybody, but just came away with different feels with some of them, and feel like the top end of that, if we can set some time to bring them in, interview style like we've done before, village manager or whatever, and then come to a consensus. Yes, sir.
Just for clearing the air, this is not a service that has to go out to bid and receive a sealed bid and all that
No.
stuff, right? Okay. I just wanted to make
This
sure
is a professional service, so
Yeah.
the charter says that we don't have to bid professional services. This is a thing none of us have done before. So it makes sense that if this is this is a good way to, we looked at this about a year ago and got a lot of overlap in responses, not total overlap. There were some that chose not to respond this time around, but I think we actually had a higher number of submissions this time. Yeah, we're not required to, but it felt appropriate to try to put some order to it in this fashion.
But I would just clarify real quick, we did post this as an RFP
No,
document.
understood.
Okay,
Yeah, I know that this wasn't,
And
we just picked people.
Yes.
I know
No,
there's
no,
a
no.
process. I just want to make sure we have had questions about sealed bids in the past. I just
Oh, yeah,
wanted
no.
to
And then we've
throw it out
retained all
there.
rights to negotiate a final.
Yeah, no, I understood. I just, for purposes of making it public, I wanted to make that comment. And then second, we've had I don't know if there's a good or bad about it, but we've had Mr. Ryan as the full-time present attorney at council meetings. Would we expect that these firms would be a rotating participation, or would we have a dedicated staff member as a lawyer? We just have an individual that would be dedicated to us? Yes? With backfill if they're absent or they can't make a meeting?
Each of the finalists that we selected here had a designated lead attorney. The lead attorney would be the one that we often
Would be present.
with and what have you. If that person has a conflict, they may have someone else come in.
I just feel it's important for continuity,
Yes, all three of them, that was something that we also looked at, and all three of the ones that we've recommended here have a lead contact that we would be talking to.
Great. And then last question, I'm assuming next part of the process, if we all you get the consensus here that, hey, this is great, let's move forward, would be some sort of interview process?
Yes, that's what we were discussing, is trying to figure out some time, which I assume would be probably 4 hours to bring in 3 and then discuss it afterwards and make a decision as a council.
Do we want to pick that date?
Questions, comments?
It's a good group.
Yeah.
You don't know any of these people, you haven't. Your name never came up.
I just want to say, I know this was a ton of work for the Personnel Committee to go through. I'm sure you spent a lot of extra time on this, and so I appreciate all of the research and the hard work on this, because you guys have been a busy subcommittee as of late, and this is yet another important role that you're helping us fill. So I am looking forward to the next steps in this, and meeting a new attorney. And I just want to recognize you guys for, I'm sure, the hours that you've put into getting it parsed down to these finalists.
Thank you.
What's our time frame?
That's what I was going to ask. Good question. Mr. Mercer.
You can answer that question if you want.
I mean, we can go to your question while we all pull up our calendars, I guess.
Sure. So I was searching for this document, and I can't always search and listen at the same time, so I couldn't find the document because I realized I don't have it, but I have it now here.
Yeah.
So explain to me again, you ranked these in order, and you contacted those top 5?
Yeah.
And then you ranked those, and you came up with the top 3?
Yeah. Interviewed those.
You're, okay, yes. Yeah,
Interviewed the 5. Yep.
Yeah, but, yeah, thank you. Is there a reason why some of the other ones, didn't, is this all the information you kind of had, or is there a whole bunch of other?
We can we can provide as much information as you'd like. I mean, it is, the problem in this format is, notes are contextual, and as we were going through, I was making notes. When you're reading RFP responses, you're kind of ranking. So based on my rankings compared to the other two members' rankings, we came up with who are the ones we'd like to have conversations with. And there's, happy to provide the entire zip file of all the responses so you can look at them and see if you come to, if there's anything we missed. But kind of felt like the goal of the Personnel Committee was try to trim the list to a manageable size. We debated for quite a while, 3 versus 4. There was one that that was on the bubble, and we just decided that, we thought the 3 represented examples of different size firms with I thought we had different personalities, and should be a good list to draw from. We talked about, hey, if we're only doing this once every half a century, do we add a 4th? So I'm not opposed to that, but we felt like we could make a decision from those 3.
I just wanted to understand the process. I support the Personnel Committee. I am surprised that a couple on the list that didn't come to the top. I know a few of these firms, and it's interesting that they wouldn't have bubbled up based on some of the data there, but there's probably other things in the file, so that's fine. I appreciate your work. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tim.
No, and I mean, we can provide the supporting documentation. It's just like, that was probably 15 minutes before I walked out the door, and that was.
You're good.
Should have spell checked it more. Tried to get rid of the red lines, but it didn't work.
Mr. George, I'm sorry. I would just add, in terms of the process, I mean, it's like, to me, it was like reviewing resumes, right? Well, it was literally reviewing, right? I mean, you had large respondents. The 3 of us sort of ranked our tops, and then we went in and tried to, I don't know, Andy had a good way of power ranking things, but, some of it was based on the information that they provided in their response, who their other clients were, the other kind of work they did, the choices they made, and the cases that they highlighted. I'm not saying, we might have missed a gem in that, and, the 5 we didn't interview, I don't know, but I was really impressed with frankly all 5 that we did phone interviews for, and I think we might have spent more time trying to get that 5 down to 3 than we tried getting, 11 down to 5. That first cut was clearer to me, so I guess my takeaway on that was all of those top 5, I think were great respondents. And I think we'll have, with the top 3, I think we'll have, good options in front of us.
Mr. Boot?
Yep. So, just so I understand, the attorney here, I'm seeing where it says cost, and it's got hourly. So are these 1099 employees, or are they going to be employees of the village? Question 1.
Yeah.
Question, go ahead.
No, they're just employees. We're employing a firm, and they're, they have.
Billable hours like HRC.
Yeah.
Okay. It's always kind of nice to have, the same person each meeting that knows, But, and then I would like, along with this list, I'd like to see the RFQ that went out, if you don't mind, that'd be great. Just so I can look at the criteria that you were searching on our behalf. And, great work for the Personnel Committee, but I still like to understand how we came about to these decisions, that's all.
Yeah, and I know Warren can provide that. We would, I look at this when we talk about team size, and that's, I think malleable based on whether you're talking about straight municipal discipline or getting into the sub-disciplines, because you've got people who are saying, we've got tax, we've got, pick any of the things that would come up, Mr. Ryan, I'm sure, there's a list of specializations within the firm that they have access to. I kind of look at the person who's going to be sitting in that chair as the quarterback of the team, who has to, if we hand them an issue, a lot of this is the weekly meetings, the twice monthly meetings, but when you get into specific specialty issues, they have people that will help them prepare, who are the subject matter experts. But we should have a consistent person sitting in the chair that is an employee of, I'd look at it as no different than Mr. Shepler. When you're looking at talking about having somebody who runs point for the organization, but is responsible for the work product and the deliverable and all that.
bottom line, it's a professional service. We're employing a person basically not for the village. They're coming in and providing a service. How they get paid and how they get taxed is of no real interest to us. We're paying a rate to them, and how I'm sure their firm follows the law, or they probably wouldn't be
Municipal attorneys.
or any attorney for this matter,
And
for very long.
we did have conversations with, I think, all of them about contract length, and a lot of it was like, we can't make you like us. We're not going to hold, if this isn't working for us, then stop calling us for help and we'll stop billing you. So, I mean, we're not, obviously we'd like to have a relationship where some people get some understanding of how we work, but hopefully we choose that first time.
Right, and that's the next step. Find out the one we're most comfortable with, right?
So, yes, sir.
All these firms are at-will employment, right?
Yes, I believe it's just hourly billing, and they're going to.
Yeah, there will be a contract, whether it's a 2-page or 5-page document that will say.
I get it, but.
Yeah, and if it's a 90-day out or whatever,
Yeah, it
it's
will be-
nothing, we're not.
Write whatever termination or term provisions the council desires into the relationship.
Right.
I just want to echo Ms. Rajewsko's comments. Thank you very much for doing all this due diligence. Respect the work that was done. Appreciate the short list that gets us to an action. So.
Thanks,
For
Ryan.
our special meeting.
Yes,
sir.
yes.
Sorry, one last comment.
Yeah.
I like all this, but I also want to recognize our village attorney, regardless of how long he's been here, but he kind of knows all this stuff regardless, right?
Right.
So here now, we're debating like how many of these problems or opportunities that we're going to be facing, and then we're going to have the right municipal attorney. So just wanted to recognize our village attorney for his knowledge and his experience.
For sure.
And as long as he's been here, putting up with us.
That's why that's why he doesn't get to leave. He just gets some free evenings. So he's still going to be in court. I caught him the other day walking in the door, coming out of
He can't
court.
stay home 24/7.
I get it.
Mr. George, can I propose a path forward? Could
Yes.
could we agree that we are interested in interviewing the top 3 that have been narrowed down by the Personnel Committee and pick a day to hold a special meeting to conduct interviews? And then the Personnel Committee can begin preparing for those interviews, right? We could circulate draft questions or however we want to talk about format of that. And Mr. Ryan, if you're so willing, I would really appreciate any input you have on what are the right questions to ask an attorney that we might want to hire, and what would this process best look like? So I would just, if we can get some consensus that everyone's okay with moving forward with this, and we can get something on the calendar.
Mr. Chair, Mr. President, we're okay as long as I get the RFQ and have an opportunity to look at all this stuff before we can
For sure.
pick the top 3.
Okay, so then we're not okay with scheduling interviews with these top 3.
Give me, like 48 hours from now, it's fine, yeah, if you do that.
Yeah, well, okay.
Yes, sir.
What I would.
Stop progress.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Mr. Booth.
Yes, sir.
What I would suggest is, seems like we're in agreement with the top 3. What I would propose we do is, rather than going around the calendar ring right now, especially when the most important people, the people we're going to interview, are not included in this conversation, I suggest that tomorrow I would send to the full council, here's all the RFP responses, here's the ranking sheet, here's a poll for several dates between now and Thanksgiving realistically, when we can, because we're going to have to probably have a backup date or 2. So we can do it right now and try, but if none of the dates that work for council work for, we may have an issue. And I've found success in doing like the online poll where we give all of you a list of dates to click on. It just helps with the time. But we can go the other way if we want to. I just want to say that was an option.
I think that's a fair proposal, Mr. Rothy.
I'm at peace with that.
I like Mr. Rothy's proposal.
Is there a sense of council that is an appropriate way to proceed?
Yes.
Appropriate.
Yes, thumbs up.
Anyone disagree with that path forward? All right. Any other questions related?
There's one last clarification, Mr. Rothy. When you put that poll together, I'm just wondering if we're thinking weeknight or Saturday morning, or a mix of both, perhaps?
I'd probably propose both and just see where
sticks.
we land. Yeah, I think the easiest for this council is perhaps, again, kind of like when you interviewed me on a Saturday morning or a Saturday afternoon. Again, it's really just making sure our top three can be here, outside of, I know, and especially, they actually might prefer Saturday if they're doing other municipal meetings.
In the evenings.
One thing that was actually beneficial to us is the fact that we meet on Tuesdays. Monday's a much more common date, so we actually, I think,
Yes.
we're able to get a good pool of candidates simply because of that fact.
That's great.
All right. We comfortable with that path moving forward? Mr. Rothy will provide all of the response material, and we'll work to notify if there's any amendments to this. We can discuss, to that short list, we can discuss that at a future date, I guess. All right? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. George.
All right, thank you. On to public comments. Anyone in chamber or online who would like to make a public comment?
Allie Schultz, Dunblane Avenue. I'll try to be quick. I just wanted to thank council again for all your hard work that you've been doing for the community. I'm especially grateful for the passing of the ordinance that includes chicken. I actually do think the 15 permits, it's a positive, inclusive step forward because it gives those who are interested a chance to participate regardless of lot size, not just those who might not be interested but do have larger lots. I also really love and appreciate the sidewalks and the new parks coming. I'm a runner, so those sidewalks, I run in the dark. It makes a huge difference for me. And my son is so excited for the new park, so it's reasons like that I love being in this community. I know this whole discussion surrounding the animal ordinance has sparked really strong feelings and opinions from a lot of people, but I think it's just reminded us how much we all care about Beverly Hills, even if we might not agree on things all the time. This is a very passionate community, and they care a lot about each other and what's happening here. So thank you again for all you do in Beverly Hills, and it's just a really wonderful place to raise a family.
Thank you.
David Tabab in Orchard Way Court. One last word on chickens. This really all got off a year ago, a little over a year ago, I guess, with a violation of the code. And then a refusal to comply with the remedy. So I have one question to ask about this, and hopefully you'll never hear another again, but this is, Mrs. Produsco, are you in agreement with and will abide by all of the other elements of the ordinance as was passed tonight?
Is that a comment?
That's a comment.
Okay.
I can't force an answer, but
right.
I think the rest of the village would like to hear. But thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mark Mellendy, where do I live? Oh, Kinross Avenue. I'm sure that when you were running for election, the contentiousness of and the passion that's been mentioned of people was probably not fully absorbed. But I just want to pass along also that I think that the chicken issue will not be in a prophet, but I'm going to make a prophecy that there will be legislative procedures that will occur between now and the next ballot opportunity. And then the last thing, just to be of light, I haven't been driven around much around the village to see the people's holiday Halloween lighting. I will say there is a fierce battle on Kirkshire. Thank you.
It's a work in progress, sir.
Anyone else? Online, I see two hands online. Ms. Brown.
Todd first.
Todd.
Todd Schaefer, Sunset Drive. I guess I will echo, I appreciate the time and effort that everybody involved has put in this, from Mr. Rothy and Ms. Steck to those on the council who were willing to put forth a good faith effort with this. I don't know that I agree that that's been everybody here. The correct approach here was not to rush and cram down Article 3 down everybody's throats. It would have been very easy to accept Articles 1 and 2, which again, still need work. And you can have plenty of time to work on that as well. But the appropriate step would have been to pass those two and revisit Article 3 when you've had time to actually thoroughly work on the language. Making it worse is making an amendment on the fly, which you haven't detailed or provided enough guidance for staff and how this process is going to work. So the comment was made either by Mr. Rothy or Ms. Steck that this would be first come, first served. You didn't pass that. There are 15 permits to be had. If you're going to let staff run with that, that's fine, but you wanted to weigh in on all these other things, I would think you'd want to identify whether it should be a lottery, should it be first come, first served. We haven't set any we don't have any indication of what the appropriate fee should be for the permit. We didn't take time to vet that at all. You didn't address whether or not, if you're going to do a limit of 15, does anybody, with those 15, if you have one last year, are you automatically able to get one the next year? Or is it back to first come, first served? There is so much that you've opened up by doing that. And again, you could have taken your time and done this right, which again leads me to believe that notwithstanding all that we heard about, it's so important for these things to be clear and understandable for everybody. That was all a smokescreen. The desire was clear. You got what you wanted for now. Perhaps the next council, when they're enrolled, will do something different. Perhaps there will be a ballot initiative. But this was hardly a good faith effort, and I'm very disappointed in it.
Thank you. Who's next? I think there was another hand online.
Wasn't it Tom Maxwell?
It was Tony.
He's muted, so.
Maybe it was a mistake. I don't see them anymore. Did they? Maybe there's more.
Not seeing anyone.
I can't see that far.
Nobody?
I know.
Anyone online in chamber?
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
All right. Need a name and a street. All right, well, going twice.
Oh, Tony, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
No, I can't.
Okay. So, Mr. Locke, Riverside.
I need a name and a street. Can we?
He said it.
It's hard to hear over here. It is Mr. Lott. Okay.
I'm going to try again.
Okay.
Mr. Locke on Riverside. Okay. I've listened to all of this fiasco, and I would just like to remind everybody in council that as a democracy, you will all be up for a vote, whether it's the next session or 2 sessions. And God willing, you are done, because what you've just done, instead of putting this out to the village to vote on it, is criminal. Plain and simple. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, then we will close public comments and move on to the manager's report, Mr. Rothy.
Yes, for my report this evening, want to highlight a few things. First, the fall edition of The Villager, it's gone out, Clerk Brown? Or okay, yep, it has gone out, so hopefully you've received it. If not, you should soon. It is on our website if you'd like to view it that way. We have received our first reimbursement request from the EPA. That's for the Pierce Water Main project. I know when I started there was we're going to get the federal money. Well, we at least got our first request of it, $712,000 and some change. It's actually kind of interesting. The acronym of the payment software the federal government uses is ASAP, and I can attest that it came within 4 days of us submitting our request. So kind of ironic and maybe some humor for the evening. Village staff's at work preparing an RFP for the Southfield and Beverly intersection study that was approved by this council last year. More on that to come. Some good financial news now. In my report, we have received another grant $605,700 through the MDOT Federal Safety Program. This is for those various places of pedestrian crossings. I think this council was working on it the day you hired me, approved my contract, so I got to get a little bit more up to speed on the different locations that were chosen and whatnot, but that's exciting. Again, that's a fiscal year 2027 program for the state, so we're probably not going to see that for about another 24 months, but the design work will have to start right away, and we'll probably have a proposal for that from HRC at our next council meeting so we can begin moving forward. Also, this isn't in my report, but good financial news is, well, I guess I mentioned it, but I didn't know the results, the TAP project. Now, the final verification of quantities is ongoing still, but it's looking like the lowest bid came in $60,000 underneath the engineer's estimate, so that is another good place to be. Again, that number may change a little bit, but it looks, I can pretty confidently say we're going to be under our engineer's estimate for the TAP project. Let's see, any other financial stuff? I don't think so. I mentioned a few meetings ago about the desire to implement a mass notification system, like text messages, for water main breaks and stuff. We've done a few demos with companies. We're getting some quotes back. Some may be over the $5,000 threshold, some may not, so that's ongoing. I'm hoping to have more to report at the next meeting or two for that. I think that'd be a great way to improve the way we communicate with our residents. One of them, for example, it's, you literally draw on a map and everybody whose numbers, associated with those addresses will get the text, so that's especially helpful for water main breaks. Public safety, want to give Director Arnold a few shout outs. They've launched a Facebook page of their own. They're up and running. I encourage everybody to take a look at that. And then in the Villager, we have an officer, and I can't believe I didn't put his name in my report. The Fill the Boot. Brian Lafort is doing a Fill the Boot fundraiser in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. He will, or other officers of the department are going to be at Market Fresh and TJ Maxx. There's some dates in my report. It's on their Facebook page. They've got, where they're going to be. So I would encourage everybody to participate in that, or at the very least, go out and meet one of the officers who keeps our community safe. Oh, two other things. Three things that aren't in my report, but I'll comment on. As of yesterday, the village staff emails are transitioning to .gov. Right now, all the .coms still work, so no messages are being lost. I anticipate the switch for the council will occur in the coming days. I'm going to have Robert reach out to you. It may involve a password reset on your end. So I did it for staff first, and so we'll work on council. But again,
exactly.
You're really scaring me now.
Yeah, I
guess
know
we're
my
done
current
getting
password.
emails.
Yep.
Right.
So again, that's
In an email.
That's coming, both work. State budget. So state budget passed, and in it is a significant road funding enhancement. I saw the estimates for Beverly Hills. It looks like in the state's fiscal year, which, am I? No, I was getting ready to clap. How much money we're going to get?
No, I wasn't sure if I was leaning too far.
No.
Okay. About 33% increase in our Act 51 money. It's about $450,000 more annually we could dump into roads. Awesome. That's only 3/4. I don't think the tax, it's mostly funded by a new tax of marijuana. That tax, I believe, is going to be implemented January 1. So the following fiscal year, that should climb to about a, long-term increase of about 50% in our road funding. So again, that really will help us do a lot more road projects, and also a lot of our road projects are funded from general fund transfers out. This could probably offer a decent amount of relief to our general fund going forward. Two, last but certainly not least, as of yesterday, the village is operating its own DPW department in-house. We have terminated our relationship with Como. We have hired the various positions that we have, and we are proceeding. So again, I hope to share a lot more about that in the coming council meetings with Neil, but that is ultimately, I think, a positive direction for the village. And that concludes my report this evening.
And it sounds like we had good outcomes in posting the positions and finding some experienced people.
Yes.
Awesome. Yes.
One comment, one question, Mr. Rothy. First of all, that is a tremendous amount of stuff And I just really want to extend my appreciation to you and Carissa and all of administration, to the chief, to Neil. I mean, this is a lot of work that came into your short list, right? Like, I know you rattled it off like it was nothing. Like, this stuff is not nothing. So thank you to the chief for, getting public safety on the internet and out in the world with the people. The Fill the Boot campaign is wonderful. It's really a great way for the department to interact with the community. So I super appreciate that. And thanks, Warren, for looking into that notification system. So I guess that's many comments wrapped in one. Is a good job. My question on the TAP grant, cool that it came in under estimate. That's great. Any indication as to whether or not any of that work can get started this fall, winter, or is it too soon to tell?
Too soon to tell on fall. I think winter is likely, as in winter 2026.
Okay.
But until MDOT, we don't pick the contractor, MDOT does. This is their project. So MDOT's got to pick the contractor, get the pre-con meeting scheduled. But as soon as I know more, I will share.
That's a good reminder. Thank you.
I continue to take comfort in the information Mr. Shepler provided a couple meetings ago, where winter is a good time to be digging foundations and portholes and things like that. So I remain optimistic. Mr. O'Gorman.
I just more of a comment than a question, but I think it's important to note you rattled off a bunch of numbers really quickly, and not a lot of community members left. Just kind of to put it out there, though, assuming our tax revenue is about $11.5 million for September, with fully completed with delinquents and all that. You also mentioned about $1.5 million of money we're getting from alternate sources through grants. So I did some quick back at the napkin math. That's over 500 additional houses worth of tax revenue that we're pulling in through the efforts of the administration, police department, public safety, all of that. So I just want to commend the administration and various council members who have contributed to that, because that 1.5 million is a small fraction of the millions that we have received in the way of grant money over the last couple of years. So it's phenomenal to me that we couldn't build 500 extra houses anywhere in the land that we have available. So to get that much additional revenue for the benefit of our residents is significant. I think it's been downplayed in the past, but you just kind of rattled off over $1 million of money. And that's the fact that you did that so kind of nonchalantly is evidence of how well this administration and the village is doing in the way of getting additional monies to make sure we can accomplish what we need to for our community. And it's not always home runs, and it's not always successful, but the continuation of that has been super beneficial. So again, thank you. I just wanted to put that out there, that just tonight is like 500 homes of additional tax revenue. For a year. It's not obviously in perpetuity, but I just thought that was an interesting statistic. So more than 10% additional homes in our community effectively. Worth of money. Hopefully that's not confusing. Anyway, thank you, Mr. George.
That's good math, Ryan. Thanks.
Any other questions or comments for Mr. Rothy? Mr. Aboud.
Mr. Rothy, yes, everything is great. You're doing a good job. But I also like the fact that they're doing a fundraiser for a really, really good cause. And I was just curious about the boot. I mean, is this firefighters or are we public safety? Ed?
I'll bring Chief Arnold up for this.
Yeah, it's a new boot. It's a fire officer's boot.
Okay.
I'm not going to promise it has not been worn.
Okay.
I will say this, we've done 3 dates already, 1 at Market Fresh, 2 at TJ Maxx, all last weekend. Over the weekend, we collected almost $1,900.
Awesome.
So we have 4 more dates for those that are interested. On the 10th from 3 to 7 at Market Fresh. On the 12th from 10 A to 2 P at TJ Maxx. 20th back at Market Fresh from 3 to 7. And then finally on the 25th from 1 to 6 at TJ Maxx. So we hope to double what we brought in on those first 3 days. Officer Lafort, this was his idea. Obviously, it's a very important disease. He's had many people in his family who have suffered from breast cancer, as many people have. So I commend him on putting the effort that he has. He's done a fantastic job. I'm very proud of him.
I just love that. And then as far as are they going to be in uniforms? I mean, will I get a little fireman hat?
We do have a little fireman hat. Yeah, we do have some fireman hats if you want one. We actually ran out of the ribbons. He has reordered some more. So we do have some swag for you if you wish. They will, some of the officers are in uniforms. Officer LaForte was in his fire uniform. I was in my police uniform, and I was
We could bring family members with us?
Absolutely,
All right.
absolutely. Bring anyone that's got money that they want to
carrying cash, I was going to say.
Just bring cash. Anyone with money that wants to put it in a boot, we would love to have.
Welcome there, yeah.
Yeah,
The boot's got plenty of money.
Listen, when you can claim a boot, all right, come talk to me.
It's a very,
money.
very high boot, so.
There you
holds
go.
quite a bit.
Get that Santa boot, man.
Thank you.
They are posted on our Facebook page. They're posted on my department Facebook page. Yeah, they're already on there. So if you go to Village of Beverly Hills Public Safety Department, if you scroll down, you'll see the Fill the Boot banner. If you click the More button on that, you'll have all the dates. You're welcome.
And can you contribute electronically?
No, this year we cannot because we kind of pulled this out of our
All right.
hat.
All right.
Next year, we're hoping to do it.
Your
Yeah,
boot.
pull it out of our boot. Next year, we hope to do it electronically.
Up those bootstraps.
I do like the mental image of you fighting for cash with the Girl Scouts and Cub Scouts with the popcorn and
Cub Scouts and East are relentless.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, they get me every time. All right.
much
Any other, yes, sir.
Real quick, safe routes to school. When are we expected to wrap all of that work up? You know?
I know restoration's still continuing. They're working on developing punch lists. There's some warranty periods on how long the restoration will work, so I could see some of the restoration going like a year, potentially.
Yeah.
I think that most of it. And
Let me
the
go
major
back.
stuff-
There are two sections that I know of that aren't poured. Do we know why they aren't poured and when they're going to get poured? One is on Birmingham near Dunblane, and one is on Beechwood near Sheridan. There might be more, but those are two that I know of, and I just don't know because it's been a long time, especially the Beechwood and Sheridan one. So I'm just wondering is there some issue we're having there getting those done? Because we've had great weather, but we're going to run out eventually.
I will gladly look into that for you.
Okay. And the next one, not to bring up maybe a sore subject or anything, but do we have any update on the playground and the playground equipment and what's going on with that?
The DNR has denied the appeal that I put forth on behalf of the village. There are a few different options that we can do, pathways to proceed. It's not really a decision I can make. I think the best thing to do is going to be preparing essentially a memo of the recommendations, bring those forth to council at the next council meeting, and ultimately have the council decide on what the best course is going forward.
Okay. And not to be, naysayer here, I've asked some tough questions. I realize that. I do appreciate all the work you've done. Appreciate the work from our public safety department. I will say they had 3 weeks, though, to work this time between the last manager report and this one. Usually only have 2, so they should get more done.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. You did a great job, so thank you.
Appreciate that.
33% more.
Exactly.
Even I can do math, Ryan.
Well, we don't need Ryan.
It's like a tube of Pringles.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Rothi? All right, on to council comments. Mr. Mercer.
No comments this evening.
Mrs. Cascometti.
Just one thing briefly, in addition to all that we talked about tonight. Mr. Rothi and I met with Public Services Director Johnston and our HRC contact, Mr. Shepler, about the grant that we received as part of that Oakland County, and Warren, you might have to remind me the name of it, the Oakland County Infrastructure Grant, right? This was
Something along those lines.
Yeah, this is the $25,000 that we wrote into that grant for basement backup, sort of education and outreach work. And so that grant money needs to be spent by the end of 2026. And so we just met with Mr. Shepler, kind of just brainstormed a bunch of ideas for the kind of content we want to put out to the community, what a website would look like with information about, here's how our infrastructure works, here's the combined sewer area, here's the separate sewer area, some different methods of outreach, and HRC is going to come back to us with a proposal for the kinds of tools that they can put together. Again, that's a $25,000, but it's matching, right? Like we put up.
It's a 12.5
12 and a half. Yeah, so it's not a $25,000 grant. It's a $25,000 project that we approved with a 12 and a half coupon, right? So So we had that conversation last week, looking forward to what HRC brings back to us. That's it.
Super. Mr. O'Gorman.
I just want to reiterate what I said earlier. I figured a lot of people would leave after the vote took place, but I want to thank the community for being responsible in their behavior tonight with a very contentious issue, both online and in person. Given today's politics, this could have become a shouting match or a bunch of disgruntled folks who are very angry, and I think this just reflects the demeanor within Beverly Hills of the community being responsible and respectful of each other, even when we have significantly opposing decisions. I recognize there will be some wake to this, fully expect and understand that, but I just wanted to again, provide my thanks for us not looking like a community that isn't under control. So again, very contentious issue. A great deal of respect to the community members who came in tonight or online, and my thanks goes out to them for the behavior. So, and the council, I should thank us as well, because I think we were all under control. So, seeing that on different events too. So, but that's all I have to say. Thank you, Mr. George.
Thank you. Mr. Jusko.
Yes. First, yes, I want to thank the community that had interest in the subject at hand, chickens, tonight, but also the rest of the community that maybe didn't and has kind of been taken along for the ride through this conversation. Earlier tonight, there was a question at public comment, and I do want to address that. First of all, I want to remind everyone that at no time was I breaking any ordinances. I don't have any intention of breaking any ordinances moving forward. And I look forward to working within the guidelines of the expectations of my home under the law, as I always have. This weekend, I had the opportunity with my daughter, and I think that this, if you'll indulge me for a second, really helps to apply to the things we're talking about tonight and things that we have to take on moving forward. But on a whim, we decided to drive to Indianapolis, and she participated in a wrestling tournament with 2,800 girls. And the first day, it was duels, and these girls wrestled from 8 a.m. until 9:30 at night, and this is ages kindergarten through 12th grade, all side by side. And a lot of times, the decision of the entire duel came down to 60-pound little girls fighting it, and it was amazing. And then the next day, there was an individual tournament. And in order to get to finals, these girls had to wrestle 6 matches after doing 7 the night before. And I sat and watched 2 girls wrestle, put their heart into it, into double overtime. They were tied, and it was won by a 3-point decision at the end. One girl got a reversal. And this is after, 5 minutes of being head-to-head tied. And the minute that decision was made, those girls stopped. They broke down into tears, and they hugged each other, and they congratulated each other for what an amazing job they did at their sport that they both love so much. And so I think that that is a good lesson that these children could teach to all of us, that we may have disagreements, we may do our best in battle to serve our side on something, but when it's done, and we go back to supporting the place and the thing that we love the most. And I think that we have more conversations like this coming up, and I hope to take the things that I've learned in this conversation and apply that to these new conversations. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Abood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Freedom of speech. There's a gentleman on the email, and he was here twice, and I believe another family member is here, and thoroughly discussed exactly how we should have approached this. And that was the fact that you take the portion that didn't make sense right now and instill the law that's under a time constraint. But more importantly, freedom of speech, once again, the freedoms that we have and our democratic way of doing business in America today is you get elected by the people, and then your job is to represent those people who aren't around the way that it's mandatory for us to be at these meetings. I'm disappointed the fact that we, and I don't say we, that some people on this council didn't allow those people to voice their opinion. If this matter is so contentious, and we're thanking people for being so kind, well, we really didn't give those people the choice that they deserved, and they demanded time after time after time again. I saw all the times that people were saying, put it on the ballot, put it on the ballot. But even before putting it on the ballot, let's really vet these Article 1, Article 2, A and B. I felt like even I sat here to try to figure out what we were doing and amending, and it all happened like, some people said it was by design. I doubt it was by design. I just think it's lack of knowledge and not understanding what the people truly want is representation, and I feel that we did not represent those people by not putting this on the ballot. And I got nothing against Rachel's Chickens or anything. I just feel that people are here for a reason, and they were asking politely and eloquently to please put this on the ballot. And I don't understand what the issue was with putting it on the ballot. You'd be surprised how many people would have voted yes or voted no for that matter. So I'm disappointed is all I can say. And I'm going to throw the number out here, 25, and we'll leave it at that. And Tigers lost 8-4.
All right. Mr. Drummond.
No comment.
All right. A few things. Congratulations to Ireland on a good match. Wrestling matches are awesome. I appreciated my time wrestling immensely outside of the fact that my knees now are garbage. But I think people learn a lot from it, and I have fond memories of those days, so I'm glad she's enjoying it and doing well. Safe routes to school. This is a administration, if you can help me figure out one of the things that happens now that we have sidewalks, that frees up the $10,000 per school that they get for programming. But we need to figure out how to connect them, and if I need to send an email and include the principals and the administrator, but hopefully we can figure that out, because there is, as part of this, not only did we get money to build the sidewalks, each school, and Queen of Martyrs counts as 2 schools because they have a primary and a middle school. So they're going to wind up with $20,000, but they get, I think it's $10,000 for programming so that they can do bike racks or a smoothie stand for bike to school day or whatever. So we need to help them get that. There is a question that I think we solved of how that gets administered, but help me remember that we need to deal with that.
May I make a suggestion?
Sure.
If in that email we could suggest, there's been a lot of community members talking about the need for a bike safety class.
Yeah, I think honestly there would
around
be
e-bikes and that type of thing.
Hey,
so
whatever we can do, I think there's a great opportunity to get public safety involved, give some helmets out. If we can connect additionally with some understanding of where it is and isn't appropriate to ride bikes or battery-operated devices, that would be great. Next thing on the list, the grant that Mr. Othie casually glossed over, where we're receiving $600,000. If you go to the packet from April 1st, I believe is what it was, we sat here and started with a short list, and because we found out there was a grant available, we kept adding to the list. So we took the entire recommended amount of infrastructure improvements that are mostly crosswalk enhancements, and I had to look up what an RRFB was, and it was a reflective flashing, I forget the exact acronym, but it's something about a reflective flashing beacon. So that's the illuminated crossing signs. We're adding those in a bunch of spots, actually adding a stretch of sidewalks so that an entire neighborhood can get to a crossing by Groves. All of it's detailed in the April 1st packet, but that's $849,000 worth of work we're going to be able to do for the village's contribution of $243,000. So that's about a 70% match on the cost of the whole project that is that we asked for and we got, which is awesome. So it's exciting that that's almost another $1 million worth of improvements to the walkability of the community and the safety of the residents. So I really appreciate being notified of that grant and being able to make that happen. I think that's great. We do have an awesome community. I appreciate everybody showing up. The job, you know, a lot of this, when people talk about the ballot and what does and doesn't go on there, the job most days is fun. Some days it's tough when you have people that you've known for a long time in the audience who have a different take on a thing or in the community. The challenge is we've dealt with a lot of issues where there have been things that have been left undone previously, and my goal is to not leave those things if I can avoid it. So this is a thing on which we can vote. We do have a village attorney who monitors whether there's conflicts. I get the point of the question. That I would not recuse myself on sidewalks because I talked loudly about sidewalks in the process of asking people to vote for me. Water rates, Chuck Grassley is on the Agriculture Committee for a reason. He's not conflicted. It's where his interests lie. So, you know, I think the council did a good job. I understand the ask. I don't. This is well within the council's purview, and I think it was approached thoughtfully. I think the code was well vetted. There is no end to the amount of modifications that people could request. That went through a committee. It went through a reading before the first reading. It went through a first reading. It went through a second reading. And there was one change to it made tonight. So I appreciate everyone's thoughts on that, for sure. One of the things that, I mean, again, we talk about perspective. I talked to a friend today who had someone close to them who lost somebody. And so everyone has things going on that I get that everything's, there's a magnitude to perspective, I guess, and I got a dose of that today. And so, you know, I'm thinking about my friend. Lastly, I guess next to last, administration. Thank you for all the hard work on this, Mr. Ryan, Ms. Steck, who's gone. Everybody, I appreciate the hard work. Thank you, Director Arnold, for showing up tonight. And lastly, it is homecoming week at Groves, so they have the big tilt Friday night. Lots of kids in the middle of Spirit Week. Hopefully Groves does a good job, pulls it out. We got a bunch of kids going, so it should be a good time. So thank you to everybody who showed up, expressed interest, and I'd take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?